Stephan motherfucking Hawks, everybody.
This week, our guest is Stephan Hawks. He is a local legend, a badass, and he is a dear friend of mine, dear friend of Andrew's,
And
dear
my
friend
landlord.
of Neil. And Neil's landlord.
Believe it or not.
Yep. This one goes on a bit lengthy. So put on your big boy pants, strap in.
Strap on.
Strap on. He's a chatty Cathy, but we love Stephan dearly, and we appreciate him being on. And technically, this was our first episode, and we know that these episodes are a little out of order, but deal with it. It's our first time around. We love you, Stephan.
He's a big hairy bear.
Boom.
I'll say we did some spaceship sounds.
I can do it. We have the technology.
Welcome to the Stateside Podcast. I am James, with your co-host, Neil Engle.
Oh.
And our trusted producer, Andrew Carreon.
What's up?
What's up? And today's guest is Stephan Hawks.
Hey-o.
Hey, Stephan.
Hey there.
There he is.
Oh, yeah.
So
Look
now
at
that we
him.
got that out of the way, we can chop that up and use it in the next, three episodes?
Possibly. Yeah.
3 or 4? I think that's the goal. We're going to chop them up and make a radical intro with the days and nights.
I'll say you get some spaceship sounds.
I've got him. I can do it. We have the technology.
Just basically do the Fox one, but just change like one really awkward out of key note.
Like just
like a half
Make it
step
copyright.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do almost the Fox theme, but just half step. Or have it just be
Wait, no, we're just doing the
Layla, and you
Europe
just
thing.
change one note,
What is the Fox theme? Like the NFL thing?
It's
It's
the same. They're all the same fucking song.
Well, 'cause
whatever
we're doing the
wrote-
countdown to
Whatever
Europe
John
song
Tesh
right now.
wrote for the NBA in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Andrew
They're all
used
the
all
same-
of this for the intro, by the way.
They're all the
We're
same
chopping
song.
all of that up.
No one.
We'll just have it Stephan do
It's
the
either
intro.
John Tesh gets all of the credit or no one gets any credit.
That's true.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Cletus. Every time I watch the football, I got that Cletus robot. And he's just like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the robot.
What the fuck is
it's
that
a
thing?
football playing robot.
Andrew? It started at 6, just so you know.
Got you.
Okay. So we'll just say 6:10.
Will
Cool.
we?
Yeah, so let's chat about some stuff. Stephan, why don't you give like a 2-minute-ish intro of who you are, where you come from?
Try to make it a minute.
No. Just a
Can you
quick
just sum up your
bio.
whole existence in 2 minutes real quick?
Well, so for a little context, Stephan Hawks, if you don't know,
Yes.
is a music producer, mix engineer, a masterer, one who masters. Is that how you say it?
A master mastering.
A master at mastering.
Yes.
He's a major dude in the Portland, Oregon area. And, yeah, he's a rock and roll dude. So go ahead, Stephan. Who are you? When did you start?
Well, not unlike James and Andrew here, I'm from the mean streets of Hillsboro, Oregon.
Mean Streets.
No, I run a recording studio, Interlace Audio North.
Is that is your official name?
That's mine, yeah.
Okay.
And then Chris is just straight up Interlace Audio because he is straight up
Not
Chris
south.
Crummett. He would not be south,
So it's
first
just-
off, so they wouldn't call it south because he
Okay.
would be east, but he's not.
Gotcha.
he's not. I want an Interlace Audio downtown with like a cool pink like.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah, like
that's- I was
Miami.
Let's just call it downtown, and like wear like a half shirt.
You should.
I know it didn't. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't. I don't remember why we decided on North. It sounds good.
It does sound good. I like it. It's very Game of Thrones.
And I'm barely north.
Like
I'm
Winter
really just
County.
like center, but the address is north.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that was the other thing. It's like, well, the address is north.
And Mike, I should know because I represent Mike.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He's Dream Awake.
Dream
Audio.
Awake Audio. And he is in Chris's old studio across the hall. And
Right.
I am in the same studio that I have been since good old December of 2008.
And for the listeners, that's all one building.
Yeah, it's all one building.
Gotcha.
I got my old mics across the hall, and it is my domain with which to run how I see fit.
Yes.
I am the master and commander
Master.
of the master and commander of the big ass building down
Yeah.
there. So.
And you started in Hillsboro when you were a wee lad. You were like the only kid in town that had a little 4-track recorder.
Well, me and Chris.
Oh yeah, you and Crumb
So
Dog.
I wasn't the
But
only
technically I
kid.
knew
And
you
Chris had a
first.
much nicer 4-track than me. But
Right.
I got to use his 4-track, which was cool. But
All four of them?
What?
All 4 of them?
All 4 tracks.
I got to use all 4 tracks, guys. Let me explain to you how this was done.
This is the 4-track
You took
podcast.
one microphone. There actually was a whole thing to it. We tried getting around the 4 tracks by like using computers, and then we bust tracks and like.
Right. Right.
You're only going to get something so good.
Yeah.
As is evidenced by the way all of those recordings sound.
It was
But
fun,
any
though.
recording done with Chris's 4-track sounded a lot better than any recording done with mine. Mine
Okay.
was like a Yamaha.
And how old were you at that point?
Oh, 13. I mean,
Jesus
we met Chris when we were 13. We just
8th grade-ish?
the beginning of
right?
8th grade.
Was
I
it the
think.
summer technically?
Well, you met him in band.
Oh, right.
And
That's how I met him.
I didn't meet him.
I remember
just met
telling
him
you
because
guys
of you.
about this
And then
freakazoid.
I never left his house
This
because they had
20-foot
hot pockets.
20-foot guy with orange hair.
Yeah,
would
dude.
wear like pea green
He had
suits.
blue hair right when we met him.
I guess it was blue.
It was blue.
Yeah, you remember everything. I can't
Yeah.
remember yesterday.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that picture of him in a green suit.
Yeah, and Chris was the coolest guy I'd ever met.
Yeah,
I mean,
didn't-
hands down.
I went
He had,
over.
like,
I went over to
collectible
his house
toys
and
shit.
didn't want to leave. It was they.
Oh my
They
God.
stopped.
It was a
His
wonderland.
parents stopped buying hot pockets and downgraded to corn dogs, literally because of me. I mean, kind of because of everyone, but pretty
He's not
much like
kidding.
we didn't. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't an only child. I had a bunch of brothers, so my parents didn't
Oh, yeah.
waste their money on hot pockets
No,
and like
no, no.
expensive name brand foods. And I didn't have any impulse control for food. And it's still
to be
not
fair,
a great,
my house too. My
yeah,
parents-
you guys had
yeah.
all the great cereals. at
We had all
your-
the cereal.
Yeah, you guys were
Yeah,
the cereal
MacMillan
house.
houses.
So I was just bouncing around from house to house in Hillsboro, eating as much food as I could get away with
Sure.
at other people's houses.
Yeah.
So then, fast forward to when I'm 20. No. But yeah, no, we started 4 tracks. The one summer, Chris got some ADATs, and then we started kind of doing some of that. And then when Pro Tools really happened, when I was in
Which
my
would be
senior year of high school, so I was 17 and a half.
damn. You have been doing it a long time.
So that would have been, yeah, it was January of 2001.
And for context, this whole time you still had a day job. That's important to know.
Well, I worked at Target in high school,
with me,
as James did also.
Before I
Although
got
my
fired.
tenure there was a little longer than
much
James's.
longer than mine.
I worked there for a little over 2 years. I believe you lasted about 7 or 8 months.
If that, yeah. Not
And were ceremoniously fired for doing what, James?
well. I broke at least 3. Let's see. You weren't supposed to have shorts. I was wearing shorts.
They were going to let you off for anything but the one thing.
But the one, well, we'll just go through them
Okay,
for fun.
okay.
You weren't supposed to have your hair dyed. Had dyed hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you do all this after the interview? Like the
He'd
Oh,
been
yeah, no, I was
working there
well
like
into it.
6-7 months. Something. He didn't work there that
I was a
long.
trained
I was
car
gonna say, how did you
attendant.
get hired if all this?
Well,
was
you got hired
I got hired.
before the hair was done.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
asked.
yeah.
So anyway, that was more just like you're not supposed to, but you know.
We'll put it over the edge, would
So
you say?
I was the cart attendant, as they say, and you know those little machines that like you have a remote control.
They make the beeping sound and they put all
Oh.
the carts on the front.
Yeah, the little robot that pushes the carts
Yeah.
automatically.
We
and
just
you walk
got one of
alongside
those.
Okay.
We just got this was technology like we had never seen.
Yeah.
Well, I like to write it. So that particular day, I was writing the machine.
Using the remote to power it
the
while
power.
on top of it.
Well, on top of it, and I smashed an entire line of carts into a car.
Oh.
Now, and by the way, it was real bad. It was like Austin Powers, where he's like beep pulling back.
Yeah,
out
yeah,
and back and
just-
forth, and, like you can't.
I'm assuming this
Yeah.
was an accident, or did you do it on purpose?
Oh,
no, it was an accident.
Yeah.
I
I was
mean, he
just a-
shouldn't
I was
have
just a
been.
moron.
How do you-
They
how do you-
told us
yeah, how do
not
you-
to do.
I was just
There
a
were
complete
rules for the
retard.
cart. I
Yeah.
also was a part-time cart attendant.
Sure.
And there were rules.
There were
and
rules.
James broke every single
Every one of them.
I would break rules like the limit of carts you were allowed to do. Like I would try to get the record for the number of carts pushed, and I did.
And you did.
But then they were
In
like,
target history?
well, at least I mean, it was
At least
that
at
target?
the
It was-
Sunset Esplanade
it was insane.
location.
And I shouldn't have been doing it, and it was just as risky as what he did.
How many?
Because if one of these carts, I don't remember, but let's just say I was from the front of a Target, I was probably 14 or 15 cars away. Like, it was really long. It was a long ways. And they,
Yeah,
so
real long.
they were like, that's impressive, but like, you can't ever do that again. I broke rules for trying to be like overly productive.
Yeah. And I was just super lazy.
You were just
and I
lazy
just wanted
and
to have fun. all the time.
hungover, I believe.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
At that point,
was
that
exactly
would be
what it
like
was.
the
It's
year.
right when you started the old.
So anyway,
drinking.
so a bunch of customers in the parking lot saw me do it, and then I just act like nothing had happened. So I just went about my day.
Smart play.
Yeah.
Could have gotten away with it.
Meanwhile,
If it
a bunch
wasn't
of
for those
customers.
Damn kids. If it wasn't for
So-
those damn kids.
So this fucking tattletale went in there and told on me,
So,
and so
I think it's time to admit something, James.
uh-oh.
It was me. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
it was
Talks about
Stephan
how-
the whole time.
I wanted you to have a job. We were in a band together, and all of our money went to
I
paying
know.
band bills. I didn't want James to not have a job. I was like, oof.
No, but so the worst part about it though was that the manager, what was his name? It doesn't matter. Like it fucking matters.
Panos? No,
Oh, the Greek guy? Remember
The Greek guy, Panos?
That
He
guy
was the
ruled.
shit.
Well,
You
anyway,
talking about
so
the white-haired silver fox dude who was on painkillers?
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
was real tense.
Lance?
It needs
Something
to be
like
if
that.
it wasn't.
Yeah, let's call
It
him
is.
Lance.
Let's call him Lance.
I think it was it. He was on painkillers, and he was gnarly.
Your
He was
memory
cool.
is
gnarly,
outstanding.
It
Oh,
really
it
is.
is
Yeah.
So he brings me in and he starts asking me if I had done it, and I was like, nah.
Nah. They had it on video.
They had it
right?
on video.
Yeah.
So I sat in his office and watched myself ram into this car repeatedly.
Wasn't me.
repeatedly.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
And that was around
anyway,
that
that's
song.
story.
You know
But-
what? Given when that song came out, there is a very legitimate chance that he made that joke. This would have been.
No, I was so happy.
This would have been like 2000, 99, 2000. So, I mean, that Shaggy song came out when we were.
Sure.
You may have just been like, it wasn't me. You
wasn't
may
me.
have tried that joke. That's how
Yeah,
old we are.
It's entirely possible.
That wasn't a dated joke at the time. That was hot off the press.
Okay, so wow, we went off on a tangent there. So that was one of your day jobs.
Well, I worked there from high school until I was 18. I worked at a credit card company for a little while. And then I didn't have a job basically from when I was like 19 or 18 and a half on. I tried to just do studio. I was
Yeah.
like, I had
Right.
that house with the studio in Aloha, and it was actually kind of sweet. I mean, a 25 by 25 foot live room and a decent sized
Yeah.
control room. It was a converted garage, and it was all going well. But when you're 18 years old, all you know how to do is blow it. And that was what we were all, everybody I
We're just
knew,
blowing
self
it.
included, you're just
Yeah,
blowing
just
it.
blowing it all
My
day.
rent at that place was $210 a month.
Jesus Christ. That's not rent.
That's not even
That's not
rent.
even- that's not a thing.
That's just like getting screwed over at the airport for something.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like some
It's a
fee
fine.
for something that you didn't
Yeah.
read in the
I
fine
parked
print.
in the
Now,
thing, and
I
now
parked, and now I get my car out. It's $210.
Not rent.
Now that was my rent, and I had a studio and a bedroom that I shared with Robbie. It was a huge room. We had two
that's right.
two huge beds in the back of the place. But yeah, the place was like great. And I decided I was just gonna like quit the credit card job, which I was good at, but I hated. And then I was just gonna like make a go at it. But that was a little premature. I didn't have like enough business. That was when I met Nasty Nate. He was
Right.
recording his band, and I was like,
Now, was this at the different house at this point? when
no,
you
that was
moved?
still there.
Oh,
I just
okay.
didn't, so I tried to do that, and then I moved out of the house because that was a smart thing to do, to get rid of my $210 rent. It's all a long story.
Oh yeah.
But eventually,
18.
I ended up, about a year and a half after that, or 2 years after that, I ended up getting another part-time morning job doing customer service for General Motors, and I started running the studio out of Ron's converted garage by the DEQ there
Good
in
old Ron.
Hillsboro.
Oh, so that house. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I skipped over a house in there, but I was unemployed and a real bum. That Cornelius Pass house of Brian's or whatever.
Right.
And then I was there. Yeah, I did that for a few years, and then eventually, then that was the right time to quit. I worked at the morning job from like 7:30 to 11:30, and then could record every day. Started building up some steam, and then one day I sat around going, I could probably make a lot more money if I wasn't so tired, or if I could stay up later.
Sure.
And I quit and had tons of money immediately. It was I
Right.
couldn't have timed it better. Like I quit my stupid $12 an hour, which in 2005,
So I was just going to
12
ask.
an
This is
hour?
about
12 an hour in 2005.
Dang.
I was killing the game.
Yeah.
But it was only $700 or something a month. I was like,
Right.
God, I had some things going. I had things were picking up steam. I'd made a couple kind of hardcore metal records that, which wouldn't sound like metal records based on
Like what
metal
would that
sounds like
be
today.
then?
Like
I have your discography.
Inked in
up there,
Blood.
by the way. Oh, okay.
I recorded an EP for Ancient Blood that
What was
kind
that?
of kicked things off.
Blessed Be You or Upon Be
Yeah, and
That's
that
what
all
was.
cascaded into that. Yeah, I recorded a Inked and Blood EP for $500.
I remember that.
For the whole thing, for a 5-song EP.
Jesus Christ.
It was like $500, and I just worked on it endlessly. Not like they took forever to track, but like I mixed it and mastered it and mixed it and mastered it, and I just worked on it just like it was all that kind of mattered in the world, which it turns out it basically was. And it still sounds kind of cool. Like, it actually still sounds pretty cool. I was dealing with some pretty janky equipment and recording in a converted garage with egg crates on the side there.
Right. It was a house party house.
But it definitely sounded better than, it sounded like it was a big deal.
Right.
And these guys, so what happened is they were friends with all the other hardcore bands and then all the emo bands. Like, all those people hung out. Like, so this would have been...
That was the scene I grew up in.
Yeah, so this would have been like, I recorded them in like October or something of 2003. And I didn't finish it until, I think it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, like on the day of 2004. And then all of a sudden, all their friends heard it.
Right.
And I started recording all these other, 6 Bullets for a Texas Sky and The Dead Unknown. And, and then a bunch of like other like emo bands. I can't even remember all the names at this point. Dear Whoever.
So, but you did Clarity as well.
Yeah, Clarity Process was actually before that.
That was all before. Like,
yeah, that was 2003. Yeah, I did. Clarity Process was like March of 2003-ish. That was when the first album was, and that was done at the other house.
Which, we should point out your brother plays.
Yeah, my
drums
brother
in the
was
band.
the drummer in the band, and
But
they were
still, and Crummett was a part of it.
but not then.
But not then.
He wasn't a part of it then.
So, like, all that was a huge, kind of a big deal. Especially what.
Yeah, but
then
it
they
didn't
became.
do. But it didn't do. It wasn't. It didn't.
Not
do,
then, right?
Yeah, it
right.
didn't do me any good in the sense like it didn't get me any like business really.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't. That record is killer sounding. It's cool.
So was most of the business back then when you decided to, like, I'm just going to manifest destiny, I'm going to go for it, quit my day job, all of that was just a snowball effect of friends and, word of mouth shit?
Yeah, originally, it was that.
You just essentially decided to make it happen.
Yeah, and then,
And you were young, too,
when the thing was, so then you fast forward, from like 2004, beginning of 2004, and I started getting all these referral gigs and like emo bands, hardcore bands, and then like just all sorts of that kind of mid 2000s like what was happening
at that time. That was the thing.
That was all there was in
for
Portland, really,
sure.
for like
Years.
scene music, And so
with Rise being in town and everything.
Right.
well, yeah, but Rise wasn't even, and that's what Rise was doing, but like Rise,
But all the kids were.
Rise
jumping
hadn't
onto
even like
that.
exploded, and most of these bands weren't even on Rise. Like they were just,
no, they were all
just like DIY
Right.
bands that really like just hustled, and so I did that for about another 2 years, and what happened was Inked in Blood got signed to Face Down.
Okay.
And so they got signed to Face Down in like December of 2004 or something, and then I did a single for them at the beginning of 2000.
So they released the record that you did.
Well, no, that was an EP. The EP got them signed.
Oh, and then
I came in and I did a single for them, and the single came out really, really good. And somehow or another, either the band talked me into it. I don't really remember how it happened, but I got the gig to do the Face Down full length based on the job I had done with the single.
Right.
And it had a budget.
Ooh. Would that be the first time, give or take?
The records had, they paid me money.
Yeah.
But this was definitely...
the first time with like a label.
No, because Rise had paid me for the Clarity Process album.
Right.
But
That's true.
I think it was smaller. This was like, and I split it.
They were a young label.
Well, and I
back
split
then.
it with Blake. I was still recording with
yeah.
Blake, so it's
Right,
like we
Blake.
split a smaller amount of money. So this was like March of 2005, and I got the deal, and I was like, all right, we're gonna do this, and made the whole game plan and figured it all out. And it was my portion of it for doing the tracking, the production, and the mixing. Jason Livermore mastered it. I got $4,200.
American dollars?
American USD.
USD.
The hot shit.
From 500 to that.
Well, and that was 2 years later, and I had never gotten paid that much for doing an album, but obviously, like, that's not that much money to make a full-length album that's going out on a
Right.
decent-sized indie
Right.
label. Like, they weren't overpaying.
But
they were like,
age
shit, only
for
$4,200
them,
bucks.
that's great.
Yeah, and I basically
Yeah.
spent like a month solid on it. And I also took most of the money in a down payment to buy my drum set
Sweet.
because we needed a killer drum set for the record.
The DW?
The DW, I got it 2 days before we recorded. And
It's that old.
Nice.
I didn't know it was that
2005.
old. Yeah. Okay.
And so I basically took, like, I got a really good deal on that drum set, but I got them to give me a deposit. I got the label to give me, like, a bigger deposit.
Right.
Because I said I was going to use it on a drum set to do the record. But what
Smart.
that meant was I didn't have any money the whole time I was making the record.
Yeah, that's the problem with those big deposits.
Dude, yeah, we were so poor. Like,
Right.
2 of the dudes were living in a tent in the backyard at Ron's. Because they didn't have anywhere to live, and
I don't remember any of that.
What
time
you
of year would have
you weren't
that been?
around for this. You weren't hanging out. We weren't hanging out at this time.
Yeah.
This was during the we weren't hanging
Right.
out during this.
Wow.
Yeah, so Justin and Chris, Justin Salinas, they actually were like living in the back. I had like no money. Band dudes didn't have any money because like the label wasn't paying them per diem. They were in town and
Yeah.
there
And you
wasn't
spent
any.
all your money on a drum kit.
And I spent all my deposit on like a drum set, and I had a vacation. My first time going to Vegas was planned for like the end of June, the end of the month. And so my whole plan was just to get the check from the label before I went to Vegas on vacation.
Right.
So not only did I not have any money, but I had a plan for the money once it got there. I was like, because I'm going to Vegas and I'm
Sure.
going to like have fun
You
and
gotta
do whatever
fucking
the
fun.
hell that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that, and then
So that would have been, and then what's after that? You have a couple more studios?
I had 6 more months at that point of being at the Ron Pound, as we like to call it,
Ron Pound.
over there. And that, we got notice over the summer or something that was going to be going away. And
Yeah.
then I moved home to my parents, just sort of for somewhere to crash because I
Yeah.
didn't have anything to do. I was trying to come up with plans of what to do, and nothing really came together. And so what I did, I moved home. My parents were never home at this point. They were just never home.
Right.
They were working, and then they would go hang out downtown and stay at friends' houses. Like, it was like I moved home, but there was no one there.
It's like the dream.
Yeah, it was kind of
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
moved back to my parents' house, but I wasn't home very much either because I was recording either over at Blake's place. I'd rent it from him, and then I would
okay.
use Chris's studio at
Right.
night. He would like leave early. He was on like a good schedule. Like
So this whole time you're just you're still making it work. You're just still juggling around a couple studios, building projects as much as you can.
Yeah, and there was a
Like,
lot
Being
of
resourceful.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of like
Let
at
that
that
be a
point. Once I
lesson.
didn't have like a home base, there was definitely for that little period there.
Right.
That 6 months, there was a lot of hustling. It was a lot of driving from place to place, a lot of working around other people's schedules.
Well, that's like one of my favorite things about you. It's like
Yeah.
you just you've made this work
Get her
for
done.
a really long time.
There's no other option than to make it work.
Things
Yeah,
have-
and there's
things have-
something to be said
Things
about
have
that,
to
man.
work. Yeah, I
Like-
mean, I believe in willing things into existence.
Me too. I know.
I mean,
Law
and,
of
you
attraction.
can. It's a
Me and Neil
double-edged.
talk about all the fucking time.
It's a double-edged sword because the thing is when you will something into existence, it's like, well, that's great. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm so capable, but you're it's seriously, it's true. But then you're also like, you're on the hook for the choices.
Yeah. That's
See,
right.
nobody says
No.
if you're just like letting life bounce you around, you got a pretty good defense. You're like, well, I couldn't have known.
I could have known.
I got
Right,
something
right.
happened at my job, and next thing you know, like,
Well, it's nice to have a job where other people are in charge.
yeah, and
They're
usually that
taking-
works out.
Yeah.
It's a lot less stress.
But a lot less fulfilling.
But it's a lot less fulfilling. I see both ends of it. I definitely see both ends of it. And the longer you work for yourself and you deal with those stressors,
Yeah.
the
see
more
the
you
benefit-
sort of start
yeah.
looking at the other thing going, like, if I could make as much money as I make now
Right.
to work somewhere that wasn't like, terrible.
Yeah,
Like it
something
was
you
like
could
something I could
do.
do, and like,
Yeah.
I like workplace culture. I actually always did. I was always like I always
Yeah, you're
liked
Chatty
people
Cathy,
at work.
like,
Yeah,
sure.
I always liked it. So it wasn't like I hated work. I just hated the time.
Right.
And time at those jobs didn't equate to a lot of money.
But the
But if I could work from
But the
10
point
to
is you're good
6
at it.
every day, making the same amount of money as I do
hard to
now,
say.
well, I'd have to. it sounds crazy, but I probably wouldn't do it
Yeah.
because I'm so used to running my own schedule.
Oh my God.
But when you do that, you're on the hook for a lot, and it's not for
Fuck yeah, you
everybody.
are.
I mean, this house is the perfect example.
Yeah.
I willed this house into existence.
Yeah, by
And-
the way, we're recording out of a house that Stephan owns,
I
but doesn't
own-
currently live in.
I
this
own the
house.
house. This was supposed to be it for
Neil
me.
rents this house.
It's a beautiful home. I mean,
See, he willed the house, but I willed taking it over.
yeah. I mean,
That's what happened.
I think
That
I
was his
willed you
destiny.
into taking it over, whether you realize it or not. I don't want
Look
to
at
get too
that.
Inception on you. I willed myself into it, and then subsequently, when it did not work for me and my wife-to-be's lifestyle,
Yes.
I then had to even harder will myself out.
Yeah.
And I thought willing myself into buying a house and having this beautiful view in this gorgeous neighborhood, I thought that was going to be the last
Right.
big...
But you would have never known.
I know.
unless you did it.
But I'm saying
You
I
know?
thought that was going to be like, I put a lot into that. I'd made a lot of crazy moves to make it work, like ridiculous stuff. And you think like, all right, you put all this energy to it and you're like, I'm good. And then like 3 weeks into living here, but it was really more like about 10 days into living here, I realized that I was going to have to will myself out of it. And I had no time to rebuild the will to will.
Wait, say that one more time. Clearly.
To rebuild the will to will.
Andrew, take note of that.
So that's the thing. Is like I looked around. I was like, well, this isn't what you wanted for you, even though it is beautiful and wonderful.
What? I still don't understand why.
It just isn't my lifestyle. I turned into a city slicker. I went from being the mayor of Hillsborough a billion years running, loving living in Hillsborough, even though I came downtown all the time. I loved living in Hillsborough. And then I don't know what happened. I just got used to living and working downtown.
You just weren't ready for
My
suburbia.
lifestyle, everything that I do is there. Everything that I like to do is there. And so it created logistical problems with my life. You start realizing you're like, well, it's not some of these things you do because it's easy. I'm not going to drive from East Portland to Northwest Portland to just grab a coffee and then come home.
Yeah.
But I want that coffee.
You want the goddamn coffee.
I want it.
So you
but
moved
I used to just
the
go,
coffee.
Well, no, that's just a general example. But anyway, yeah. So that's the thing. So like when you will something to happen, it's a great quality to have and blah, all that. I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
But it also comes with like you have the will to put yourself in tight spots.
Yes.
You have
that's
the
right.
will to make changes.
That's right.
And I have made numerous decisions or even just personal connections that have altered people's entire timeline of their entire existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the way I am. But it's not like, it's weird.
It is weird.
You have to be willing to like deal with the consequences if you're gonna go for it.
Yeah.
That's
No,
the
I
whole
know.
idea. Some people get a high off that.
And I don't know. I mean, I do like it.
I do too.
I like it. But
I
mean,
think it has to do with the fact that you're like, you feel in charge of your own
yeah,
destiny.
you're
That's the thing I like
it's
the
just
most
like
about it.
Yeah.
obstacles.
Yeah.
Crushed.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that feels great. You set them up and knock them down.
I mean, the whole like life is short thing is very real.
Yes.
And why would you spend your time here in this short amount of time doing something you don't want to do?
Yeah. No, for sure. And time, time is money.
And
that-
something that you're not good at.
There's all that.
you
There's
know?
the time is money thing, and then there's also just like one of the things about the house that made me realize something just bigger in life is that like basically your life, whatever your life is just the culmination of what you do in a day for a period of time.
Yeah.
So like when we
I
were
love
like
that. That's so true.
when we were
yeah.
bums and we had 4-hour shifts at stupid jobs, or you just
So
went
much
and worked a
wasted
few-hour
time.
shifts, your life was hanging out, being lazy,
Right.
playing music,
Right.
and that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Like, adulthood hadn't kicked in. There's no life insurance. There was no health insurance. There was no
No
responsibility.
wife, no nothing.
No wife, no nothing. You just kind of like doing whatever you want. So that's what your life was. And
Yeah.
I look back at all that stuff, and I don't look back at like, oh, I couldn't live like that. It's like, no, I mean,
It was fun.
it was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything. We had
Yeah.
the best. I feel like we had the best growing up of anyone ever. I mean, we were the dirtbag kids from across the tracks, but we had the most fun.
Yeah,
we had
for
the
sure.
most
The
fun.
most fun
It's
possible.
not like you.
And there's no way. I mean, I think I was telling you, Neil, about how like me and Stephan, we basically dropped out of high school for a moment. But I got my high school diploma from Portland Community College.
I didn't have to, but somehow I convinced them to let me leave for 2 months,
my
do
parents
almost
let us
no
leave for
homework,
2
and go on
months.
tour.
I mean,
I just told
and
the
that was
principal.
one of many trips we made.
I told the principal of my
Like, what
school.
the fuck were my
I
parents
literally
letting us
told
do?
her that I was like, I had a meeting with her. I was a shithead. We were the worst.
The worst.
I mean, we still probably are, but compared to then, like,
Oh
we
my
were
God.
such shitheads. I imagine a 17-year-old me talking to a professional woman
Oh my God.
who went to college, who had been ascended to principal.
Right.
From vice principal to principal.
Yeah.
Is effectively like
A
Chris
position.
Crummett's mom.
Yeah.
Like a professional woman.
Right. Right.
Of stature
And this
with
little
a family.
fucking
And here I am, this
asshole.
little butterball kid.
Stephan, by the way, Stephan back in the day, you
I was-
couldn't fuck with him.
I was ruthless.
This kid was like debate
Fearless.
team.
Oh, and I was an asshole. I was just
a
the worst. I mean, like, I was the worst. Anyway, so you take that kid who the tour is booked. You're going on tour for 7 weeks.
With grown men, by the way.
Yeah,
With
I mean,
Shiner and all those.
we
yeah,
were
these-
17-year-old kids, and we're going on tours, and we're going on tour for 7 weeks. We're going to drive to the other side of the country and play our way back and everything. We had a show every other night or every 2 nights. We never went more than 2 nights without a show, other than that one
And it's
little
important
stint
to point
in-
out that
in
our
New
lead
York.
singer, Josh Timonen, basically lied his way into getting the shows. Like he would
he would
make promises we couldn't keep. Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
would bring
and
a
he did
certain
it all
amount
while
of
working at
people.
Intel, and he was only 19.
Yeah,
we
he
thought
was
he was
a
some
child.
like adult.
I know.
It's like he
I
was
know, isn't that
19
funny?
years old.
He's 19.
But yeah, I went into the principal's office in high school, and I was just like, "Listen, I'm going on the tour.
This is what's happening. This is clearly
You know
what's
me,
happening. Yeah.
like I'm a good kid. I'm doing well in my classes.
Right.
If you think as an educator that failing me for pursuing my passion at a young age is the way you want to go,
Your call.
Look at this.
then guess
Your call.
what?
You turned it on her.
See?
It's a genius.
Well, I
And
mean, it's
that's
the
as a
truth.
child.
I would have
and it
never
was
thought
the
of that
truth.
as a teenager.
Imagine a 34-year-old version.
Yeah,
of that.
and I
That's
said,
unstoppable.
if that's what you think you became an educator to do, then by all means, just fail me for the classes, and I guess I get to take summer school or finish up at PCC.
And not, yeah.
If you would like, I will take auxiliary homework or whatever the teachers want to put together for me. I'll take care of it. I'll come back. I'll take the finals, and I'll graduate. I basically put it to her that way,
It's
but
so crazy.
I started it out by telling her I'm going. Because
Yeah.
we were going. You
We
were
were
not
going.
going. I
We
mean,
were
if
not
anybody was not going to be
going.
going, it was going
You
to be
ever thought
you.
about a career in
yeah.
politics?
And even you somehow got to go.
I've
I
never
just
been
can't believe
so
that you
worried
got to
about
go.
it.
Like
Yeah.
I can see why my parents let me go because they probably just wanted to be rid of me for 2 months. But like, because I was a dick. I mean, I wasn't even cool. Like I mean,
Right.
for my senior year of high school, I didn't get along with my parents. I mean, people, I didn't get along with my parents, but like my parents were pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I was too much of a dick to
Yeah.
even really get along with them for just like really that year.
Right. Yeah, and
Because
they definitely wanted you out of the house at that point.
I think at that point they were just like, we can get rid of him for 2 months and he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
And I was.
we were fine. We were
I
just
mean,
fine.
yeah, we were fine. Eating Taco Bell every night. And
Okay, so with that, so then when do you get into the building you're in now? Like, at what point does that
oh, yeah.
happen?
So then, yeah, anyway, my parents ended up moving out of the house. And this would have been the fall of 2006 because they were like, well, we're never here. And I go, yeah, I know you're never here. So they decided to move closer to the stuff they had going on
Yeah, out
and
in
move
Vancouver.
out. And so I took over the house and I started making records out of the house.
Right.
And that was when,
Still in Hillsborough.
Whole house to yourself?
well, I had roommates, but
Oh, okay.
I mean, I had a basement. It was pretty cool, rock basement. And that's when I started getting a little more, some more label work stuff. I started working
Nice.
with Media Scare. Some bands I worked with got signed to Media Scare, and then he had heard the Shelter Red
This was
stuff.
what era?
This would have been 2006 into 2007.
So like Hurricane Dane era.
Yeah, and Chris did that record. That was 2006, and then I did a song that was later put on it that was from a wholly different session. But basically what happened is this band that I had recorded and played drums for called Kill Your Ex, which later became Icarus the Owl.
Oh, right.
They got signed to Media
they have
Scare.
new stuff now, right?
Yeah, they just put out. They got a new album coming out now. Yeah, so this is the thing. Some of these people I've known forever.
Right.
In town, but
And let that be a lesson to young producers.
it's not. These people don't go away. I mean, if you do a good job, you're going to get to know. I know these people very, very well. They're not. You say like they're like my friend, but you're like, yeah, they're my friend for sure.
For sure.
But like, yeah, I mean, but anyway, yeah. He had this crazy band called Exotic Animal Petting Zoo on his label.
Damn it! You know how I feel about.
So
Dude,
I got that gig.
Okay.
Well, this was the first record.
I know. I'm just saying that the one after.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
We'll get there.
But anyway, so he's like, I like your production that you did for these guys. That don't sound anything like Exotic Animal Petting Zoo. And your band seems kind of crazy, instrumental music. And I've got this crazy band that I want you to work with. And he showed me kind of their demos, and I was like, this is crazy. It definitely has a lot of Dillinger influence, but it sounded a little. It wasn't like, it was cool, but it wasn't like, get them out here. I wasn't in love with what I heard. It was a Richard Dean Anderson song off their first album, and it was a weird version of it that they had recorded themselves or with a buddy. It was one song, and it was, I wasn't like dying, like, fly them out here. It wasn't like that at all. It was like, well, get me the stuff, and I'll see what I can do, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
He sent me a song, and the guy who had recorded it had never recorded a band before. The guy who originally recorded the first Exotic Animal Petting Zoo album, the first time it got recorded, which never got released, he was straight out of an internship or something.
Out in the Midwest?
No, down at the Media Scare studio in Hollywood.
Oh, okay, sorry.
His first project that he did on his own was recording Exotic Animal Petting Zoo, I've Made My Bed in Darkness.
What the fuck?
Oh my!
And he didn't.
Do you know who we're talking about, Neil?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He didn't do a terrible job overall. To be fair, he actually didn't do a terrible job on, like, it wasn't like it was all unusable.
Right.
But what he did do a bad job on was not fixable.
Oh my god.
He recorded, and there's video of it. You can look it up on YouTube of them. There's video of them in the studio, and he says, that waveform on that snare looks a little funny, something. What happened is I got the tracks, and it was like, well, he had recorded the snare drum so hot. It was a solid brick of sound. It wasn't. It was just a square wave.
What a nightmare
That's
for
not
them,
how you
too.
get a fat sound. That's not how you do it.
And so I couldn't use the real snare drum because it was just distorted and blown out.
Mm-hmm.
And the triggering technology wasn't exactly what it is nowadays. I tried to, like, trigger it. The problem was the waveform was so goofed up and the editing wasn't quite right that you couldn't see where the hits were supposed to be.
Right.
And I tried to salvage it. And I have the file of this. It exists. So I made it and I sent it. And the band was like, what's the deal with the snare? And I told them, and they were like, we thought something was up with the snare. We were really worried about it.
And by the way, for context, this band is from the Midwest.
Yeah, they're from Indiana, and I had never met them at this point.
So they went all the way out there?
They spent Christmas on a floor in a studio in North Hollywood.
Jesus Christ.
Making this album for this label they just signed
Thinking
to.
this is the one.
And
this
they
is the
all
big
this music
studio.
and all this stuff. And it wasn't salvageable. If it had been less crazy music, if the music wasn't so spastic, you could have just put snare samples on the grid and called it out. But, like, it wasn't going to work, especially not with 2007 trigger technology.
Sure.
And especially because the drums were technical and the kid edited them, but he didn't really edit them quite right. So there was no way for me to know where the snare hits really were. And there was so much detail in the snare. I could probably get around it now. Now, but people don't realize how different triggering and just, like, options that you had, like, and it would have taken a long time just to create a snare.
Jesus Christ. So what
happened was I went down to that studio in North Hollywood that summer. I did that record for The Messenger, Let's Get Dangerous.
Okay.
I was there for 3 weeks doing that record. And he kept being like, well, what would it cost to have them come to Oregon or record with you, or would you want to come back down here?
I'm sorry, you were in California?
I was in California, in North Hollywood. I did there in, like, May of 2007.
Okay.
A couple months after I tried to mix that single for him and told him, like, I don't know what to tell you, these tracks are messed up.
Yeah.
And he just wanted him to come, and I wasn't sure if I might have been moving out of the house, and so I was a little apprehensive. And Barron at Media Scare was just like, he was kind of willing me to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like, there was a lot of stressful stuff going on for me. Like I didn't know if the house was even going to be like studio. I didn't know if I was going to have a studio place. I was looking at new rentals, thinking I was going to maybe have to move out, and he's trying to book a band from the Midwest.
Right.
I was like, give me a little more time, you know. So it probably sounded like I didn't want to record them. I just didn't want to have a bunch of people book or drive all the way out here and not have a studio to record them at.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ended up basically saying, come out and do it. And then we did the drums out at this farmhouse in Washougal that my buddy Keel's parents owned. Very small little room, but obviously had a cool sound to it. And then we did the rest of the tracking in the basement in Hillsboro. They were there for about 3 weeks. And we made a crazy record. And that's what you do.
Right.
And I spent a good amount of time mixing it and working on it. It took some doing because...
But doing all that for that band, I mean... Because then, obviously, you did the second one, which was a goddamn killer.
It was a way, way different... Yeah, I mean...
But do you think doing all that and, I don't know, kind of going above and beyond and doing the right thing for this band, doing right by the band... People
built
a fucking relationship.
Well, absolutely. I mean, those guys are basically brothers of mine. I mean, I wish they lived here.
They're the coolest.
I wish they lived here.
I wish I got to know them. No,
I know. We went and visited them.
Early, yeah.
And Brandon just sent me a picture from that the other day. Did I send it to you? Oh, Brandon took a picture of... He must have got a picture printed.
Of what?
Of us with him.
Oh, really?
He sent me...
He must have sent in
a photo
it's like the kindest thing I've ever
to like a CVS and had a photo made, and then he took a picture of it with his phone and sent it to me.
What a sweetheart.
And if that's not Brandon, I don't know what is. But
it's that Midwest hospitality.
That was like a week ago. Yeah, but
damn.
But yeah, like we they lived at my house.
Right.
We lived together. And they were crazy dudes, and I generally I get along with people from that area well. I've had other bands.
Yep, dude. Yeah,
from the Northwest Indiana,
Chicago, Kansas City, Chicago.
There's something they've got this dark quality to them.
Dark, but so funny, hospitable in the right way.
Here in the Northwest, we're dark. Ironically, like we're dark because it's funny. Because darkness is funny.
Right.
Because we grew up in the Northwest, it's fairly easy going.
So how's it different?
We don't have a lot of problems. The flood didn't come take us out. The earthquake has never happened. The killer bees never made it here.
It's the whitest.
It's really, 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 really
very white.
Pleasant and very, very white.
Very white.
And I've never lived anywhere but the Seattle area or, the Portland area in my life. I'm very, very, as dudes I recorded in Children Nova.
So we're cynical little fucks.
But we think that darkness, like we're dark because I feel like we have the luxury of indulging dark thoughts and humor.
Ah, interesting. So how is it different than the Midwest?
I think more messed up thought, and I know you do. We're terrible. Like the things that go on your brain, if it could be out there, people would think you were just nuts.
Dude.
But it's because I
have to watch out what we say on this goddamn thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to.
We'll lose everything.
I'm pulling it back.
I'm pulling it way back.
The point is that the people from there, and I've recorded a few bands from that area, they have the same dark sense of humor, but they actually lived a thing that created it. They created it out of necessity.
Interesting.
They live outside of Gary, Indiana.
Right.
Maybe you heard of it.
Oh, remember we drove through there?
It was the worst. It's a
God.
It's a ghost town.
It's the worst.
It's fell apart after, look up Gary, Indiana. It's like
do you know what we're talking about, Neil?
I think so.
It's not even like a real...
Dude,
it's
Andrew,
abandoned. Houses
look
are
up
abandoned.
Gary, Indiana.
It's...
Well, this happened during my lifetime. I know that much, right?
Yeah. Gary, it was the steel mines.
Well, the funny thing about that used to be like, because, my family stuff, and we grew up watching Disney fucking musicals and like happy-go-lucky shit. And there's a Disney musical called The Music Man, and one of the songs they sing about Gary, Indiana.
It was great.
Like it was the greatest.
Yeah, because the industrial,
barbershop poles, and
it was
flag waving,
and then all the jobs left,
right?
And then these guys in these bands
Detroit
were born.
Style. Yep.
Like they were born into and granted, where they live, like their actual, we went there, it was nice, but
where
they live specifically.
But no, that's
Crown Point.
Crown Point. There you go.
But culturally speaking, there's darkness there.
The Dust Bowl.
It's just dark. It's
fucking
just
weather.
It's just dark. And so what happens is you end up with these people out there that develop this dark sense of humor almost out of necessity, and it matches the dark sense of humor really well. Like, I knew those guys. I knew I was going to know those guys forever. You know, I knew we were going to be buds forever.
Yeah.
After just meeting them, I was like, oh, we're locked.
So you think, but
that's a real thing. They don't do it out of like leisureliness. Like, there's overt racism. There's poverty.
Right.
There's actual like unemployment and like messed up stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's messed up stuff going on that I think kind of creates almost this dark kind of subset, this way that people act. And
Andrew, pull up like pictures of 2017 Gary, Indiana, something like that. I just want to see how awful it is.
Yeah, it's mostly abandoned.
Yeah, Stephan, when we were driving down the highway with those dudes, or maybe wherever when we were there.
When we were leaving.
Wait, what happened in 2017?
Well, just I want to see pictures of it currently.
I mean, most of it's just abandoned. I don't even know if you're going to be able to find pictures. There's just, there you go, rubble. And
it's actual rubble. I mean, it looks like Syria. Yeah, look at that shit.
Like, that's where the Exotic
Oh
Animal
my
Zoo
God.
video was filmed.
Oh, there it is. Holy shit.
Because it's the building that's gone.
That's that building.
Yeah, that's where they filmed the
God.
video for Thorough Modern. Scroll up, Andrew.
Oh, wow.
That one with the writing, 2, 3 left, 1 more left. That's Gary, Indiana.
So what exactly happened?
All the jobs left. They had a city,
like,
and then all of the jobs left because of outsourcing
gentrification,
and there's just real problems. I mean, they told me, Stephan from Exotic told me when he worked for the electrical company, they used to go to parts of Gary that were uninhabited, and if you had to go to the bathroom, you just go into the house and shit into the non-working toilet because no one was there.
Fuck's sake!
Like,
look at that. God damn it.
Yeah, they just
That's like 12 monkeys or shit.
Yeah, it's like post-apocalyptic shit, and they were born during what I assume, I don't know the history on it, but I'm assuming it was at some point during the decline.
Okay, but I mean, so you're good friends with those guys and you get along and the humor and the darkness, all that. But do you think part of it is because you went above and beyond for these guys?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like you have to.
They're paying customers.
Yeah, you have to do
I think
that.
a lot of producers and bands forget that.
Yeah, and I never forget.
Yeah.
Right, renting a band practice space or annoying your parents or annoying your roommates or whatever it takes to have a band practice.
Right.
Getting 4 or 5 people together, paying for the spaces, buying the equipment, spending the time. Like, when you make a record, the amount of, even though like nobody's spent any quote unquote money yet because you're the one making the money.
Right.
The amount of money and resources that have been used just to make it so there is a record to be recorded.
Yeah.
Is something that weighs heavily on my mind.
That's right.
Like, always.
Right.
You're like,
even today.
I know what it takes to write a record to be studio ready. It's sort of a miracle that it ever happens.
Like, you hear people, producers and directors who make movies, they always talk about that. Like, whether it's a success in the box office or whatever, like, it's a miracle that movies are ever made.
That they ever get done with all the moving parts.
Records are no different.
Yeah, and records is like you had to get a bunch of people that agreed on what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they had to come up with a name. And then they had to write songs.
Right.
And the songs had to be good enough to where
Before
they decided,
guys had to agree
we're going to
on
spend
those
a bunch
songs.
of money to do this. Or we're going to convince a label to spend a bunch of money. And that's even crazier,
crazier.
So yeah, and especially now with the fact that
music
doesn't have, recorded music has essentially almost zero value. It's even crazier.
So, okay, so that's a question I had for you.
Yeah.
Like, in 2017, how do you see a producer such as yourself, mix engineer, guy who masters records, a studio guy?
Yeah.
Like, how do you see what's your role today? Like, where do you see this going?
Well, it's a lot different.
Because a kid can just get a laptop, Pro Tools, couple microphones, and technically he can record his own band.
Yeah, so back in like 2001 or whatever, like when me and Chris kind of got our start, technology wasn't really there yet.
Chris Crummett.
Yeah, Chris Crummett. When we were starting, Baron from Media Scare had a name for guys like me and Chris, because he had a couple other guys that were young guys that could make records for cheap, that put all their heart and soul into it and had their weird thing dialed in, but they were young. Like he managed Yellow Card, I think, and stuff. He had come from like the 90s when there was money,
right,
and everything
cost
money,
right.
And so he saw this thing and he referred to guys like me as wonder kids.
Really?
Like one, yeah, that's what he's like. You got these. You're one of those like these Wonder Kid guys. Like I got a guy in.
What did he mean by that?
It's that like.
The digital thing was new, so no one knew how to use it.
Yeah, so like we got into
Like,
it right at the
It was
turn.
an impressive thing for him.
Yeah, he was like, "You're a one-man studio.
Right.
You do it all.
Right. So
and
talk
you do
about
it for
that.
less money."
Because I don't think a lot of people know
And that wasn't-
not that long ago.
That wasn't
you had a
unheard of,
producer.
They were separate
engineer,
jobs.
Separate.
Jobs.
They were separate jobs. There was the
guy
guy who
that runs the
engineered
tape
it.
machine,
The
the
producer
fucking-
sat behind the engineer.
He was the vision guy.
and
the
he
bird's
was
eye
like
view.
saying what we're gonna do. But there was a guy who physically hit the record button. Usually,
The engineer.
The engineer.
Right.
The engineer
knew
did
how
not generally
fancy.
mix anything. I mean, the engineer was known for his engineering, and the producer picked the engineer because he liked the tracks that he got.
The engineer knew how to work all the fancy knobs and buttons. Of the
Yeah, he
soundboard.
knew which
The
gear sounded
board.
good. But the producer was like, "I need this sound," and then the engineer would get the sound, and then they would work together.
Yeah.
And he had to be good at getting takes out
The
of
only
people.
genres that are still doing that, so not to interrupt you, but like Ryan is doing some hip hop shit down in
Yeah.
LA. They're the only ones that are sort of kind of still doing that.
And well, it
Like,
does
he'll
still
be
happen.
hired
It's
as an
just
engineer.
only happens on the high level.
Right. Like,
But all there used to
like
be
he's working
was
on a
high
record
level.
right now where there's a producer.
Yeah.
Ryan's the engineer, and luckily he just won the bid to do the mixes. But like, that was up in the air. They were going to pick
what I'm
another
saying
guy,
is that
like a third
that
fucking
was
guy.
that'll always still be a thing.
Right.
But this other thing was not a thing. So there's still tons of records where the producer doesn't touch the board or doesn't
Right.
touch the mics. I mean, that's still going on. Not maybe as much as it used to, but probably on volume, it's probably going on the exact same amount. There's just way more records getting made,
That's what it is.
and there's way more music being produced to a high quality. Bands were making records, they were putting them on tape cassettes and selling them at shows for $1, and they sounded like crap because they were recorded like crap.
Right.
Like a lot of the bands that, even the bands that I've worked with, local bands and stuff, if it was like when we were kids, we spent all that money making that EP, or,
Yeah.
we spent $12,000 with lodging and everything and travel costs to make a 7-song, really a 6-song EP to tape, and we saved up money. And that's why we got those jobs at Target.
But even with that, with Mark Rubel, he would have been the producer, or who would have been the Paul Malinowski?
Paul was actually the producer technically,
Paul
but
was
it
the
was,
producer,
yeah. But I mean,
because it was Mark's.
they
studio.
didn't. The point is that unless we had done that, it would have just been some recording that wasn't really for mass consumption.
Right.
So either you went big, or you went. There was no middle ground. There
Yeah,
wasn't
it was
like
either dog shit tape, like you were saying, a cassette tape that you sell for a buck
It
a
was
show.
a cassette tape or some guy in the garage in the weekends clarity process recorded with
Right.
some dude who had ADATs in his garage. There'd always be some local
Or it was
dude.
the real deal big label
Or
budget.
you like spent a bunch of money, and there wasn't this in between deal. And when I got back from that, when we got back from that recording trip and the subsequent tour,
Yeah.
that's pretty much kind of how I got my start. I was like, well, I can't, we looked everywhere to try and make a studio where we felt like we'd get our money's worth. And we couldn't think of anywhere other than this place 2,200 miles away where a band we loved had made an album. Right. And so it occurred to me when I got back, I was like, well, I can't go to the Midwest every time I want to record some music. That's not sustainable.
That's not sustainable.
I'm not going to just work at Target so that I can afford van insurance
Sure.
and recording money. I can't. That's not a life. And it occurred to me that I'm not the only person having this problem.
Right.
And that's part of the reason I really, when I saw Pro Tools, like when I got to sit down and use it at Blake's parents' dining room,
Yeah.
I saw it, and I didn't go to school for a week.
Right. You're like, this is it.
I said,
This is the fucking ticket.
this is it.
Yeah.
And he just had like a Behringer mixer, boombox.
Well, but see, okay, well, hold on, because we're getting ahead of ourselves. Because even then, like, Neil, you've talked about this, how there used to be Pro Tools engineers. Like,
Yeah.
guys who
Well, you
were,
go on All Music, you see in the credits that
I'll say, like,
they
Pro
had a
Tools.
specific.
Yeah, there were
Pro
guys that
Tools
just
engineer.
knew how to run the Pro Tools.
They were the Wonder Kids.
Right.
Yeah,
so to
but
speak.
they weren't really the Wonder Kids because the Wonder Kids could do everything.
No, they weren't even that. Yeah, they were just the
they
kids
were.
that could run
They
Pro
were
Tools.
like. They were
They
like.
had learned the software.
They knew. They were computer kids.
I think what it was is they'd go help, like, big studios, the old dinosaur producers, and they'd say, hey, I have the skill set, which is...
It basically got added on. So instead of just having engineer, producer, mixer, master, you had engineer,
Pro Tools,
digital engineer,
right.
and then I think a lot of the engineers kind of morphed into doing both.
So being a one-man show, being the Wonder...
But that wasn't a thing.
Right.
Nobody did records from top to bottom.
So, but how? So
that's
now
why
that
you're the
everyone,
Wonder Kid.
but now that everyone
this
can
guy.
do that more or less, and technically speaking,
so-
anyone can.
And
do
so
it.
here's the thing.
So where do you see this going?
Here-
what makes you different than the other
Here-
people? Not you specifically,
yeah,
but
but-
what makes a producer today?
So here's the thing. Here's where, I absolutely acknowledge that you can literally you buy some drum programming software.
Yeah.
You download an amp sim program. You get a laptop. You get an interface. You start mapping out your music. If we had had this stuff when we were kids, it would have been crazy, and I would have gone ballistic.
I've heard Crumb talk about that. Yeah.
Chris Crummett and I would have gone ballistic. We would have never left the house.
Right.
We would have dropped out of school.
We
would have been crafting.
What's the tutorial class thing that Crummett's done? What's that called?
Creative Live.
Creative
Live. Yeah, stuff like that, or YouTube.
None of this.
Around.
I try to tell you, even in the late
Christ,
90s, I had to go to Pizza Schmizza downtown to have a guy write me out how to play a power chord when I was 12. There was no information.
No tabs.
No. I mean, he just showed me on a tab, and I played it wrong with the wrong fingers because he didn't tell me which fingers. My hands were real small, but he didn't tell me.
Well, show
He just
Neil
wrote it
how
on
you used to do
paper.
a power chord
That's a power chord
with those fingers.
because he just wrote down where the frets went, but like there was no
pinky.
information in 1996 or 97.
97, yeah.
Information did not exist.
Yeah, it's hard for people to understand.
They just don't. You
You've
couldn't
always gone to a library.
oh, fuck.
and learn what? Yeah,
And
there
learn
was
what?
nothing.
Yeah.
There was nothing. Get a VHS of Adventures in Babysitting or something. But that, that's the only reason to go to the library. But yeah, there wasn't. That's actually the movie
Good
that they
drop,
had
by
at the
the way.
Hillsborough.
Good drop.
Yeah, that's actually the movie that was at the Hillsborough Library.
Dude, I love that movie.
But yeah, so the thing is like this wasn't a thing, and obviously now it's a thing. And some people in my situation who like, well, I work my way up here, and I don't want other people doing what I do. I never really looked at it that way because you can buy all that stuff, you can do all that stuff. It does not replace the journey of learning how to mix records. That you can't buy. There's no Guitar Center thing that says, "Oh yeah, you pay $1,100 and now you're going to know how to mix records." And so what the thing is there's no cheat sheet. And that doesn't mean that you can't try and that you shouldn't try. But what happens is you go and buy this stuff and you track it and you like it.
Right.
But then you realize that there's something different about the thing that you just made and the thing that you think it should sound like.
And then the journey begins.
And that's when I get that phone call. We got this record, and we've been recording ourselves, and we dig it. It sounds good. It's good. It's like the tracks are good. We got it there. We really, we like the songs, and we feel like it's us, and it's good. And we bought all these plugins,
So basically, you're saying,
and we've been working on it.
This is where talent comes in, skill set.
Well, it's not. The other thing takes talent, but what you realize is there's two angles to it. First off, there's a reason it's worth the money to pay a professional to do it.
That's right. Now we're getting somewhere.
Because what it takes a non-professional to do it, and that's assuming you ever get it where you want it to go, which is by no means a guarantee.
Right.
If you do somehow, without years of experience and lots of quality equipment and knowledge, somehow get a record to sound good enough for you,
Yeah.
your band will more than likely be broken up by that point.
Right. Right. Not worth it.
You're not going to survive it.
You're not going to survive it. Remember when we were talking about it's a miracle to even
Bands
make a
are
record?
difficult to keep together.
Yeah.
There's momentum. There's personalities. You're not gonna keep it together. So sure, you might save yourself the money of paying me to mix your record, but what you've now done is you've cost yourself a band and maybe some friends, and that's what happens. And I've actually come into it with situations where I can tell when the guy's talking to me on the phone that like, if they can't come up with a game plan to get me to bail them out, this guy just knows it's going to be the end of his band. They don't say it, but I've been in enough bands.
Yeah.
I know what that sounds like. I
Yeah.
know what the desperate
that call.
tone in someone's voice, and I tell them the same thing every time. I go, listen, I'm sure the tracks are fine. I'm sure they're totally workable.
Right.
You didn't waste a bunch of time on that.
Yeah.
but for you to expect yourself to be able to do the next part. Not to
Well,
mention
it's
the next
crazy.
part after that.
Yeah.
Don't get too down on yourself,
Well,
buddy.
and it's like the equivalent of like just because there's YouTube and the internet and you can go look up how to, I don't know, change a carburetor or do something on an engine. That doesn't make
information
you a fucking
isn't
mechanic.
knowledge.
Right.
It's information. It's not
just
experience.
Information. It's not
Yeah.
experience. And I've always seen it, and especially the past 2 years, especially since I started stateside.
Yeah.
It's like producers are one of the last real trades in the music industry. Like real job, like a plumber or an electrician. You guys, you've been doing this your whole life. We just covered how long you've been doing it.
Don't know any other way to do it. And
I mean,
you have to take.
So it's pretty. Not only is it arrogant, but it's not even feasible, to imagine, to think that you can just do it.
And so what happens is,
like, you might get lucky and make a cool sounding thing.
When this stuff started happening, everyone's like, well, there goes the neighborhood, and I never worry about it.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is one of two things. They're going to make the record, they're going to finish it, and they're not going to be happy with it.
Right.
So guess what they do for the next record?
That's right.
They call you. Or they call you to save the first one.
Right.
They got to call somebody. And I'm not saying it's got to be me. I can't make every record.
Happens all the time.
But you got to call.
Mike talks about it constantly.
People get in over their heads.
And it's not. We're not being arrogant. We're not. It's just a reality.
It's like a guy who doesn't know anything about cars trying to overhaul a transmission. You just don't. You don't try it. And that's what's so funny is that, like, in other things, guys don't. They'll change their own oil.
Right.
But rebuilding a transmission from scratch, you're not going to do unless you're already a master of it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the equivalent. This isn't changing your oil.
Not changing your tires.
I would say the engineering is more like the changing your oil.
Right.
You're like, I know cars. I know music.
Right.
Yeah, you could probably get some stuff.
Probably get by.
Track some DIs. Program some drums.
Mics, get some preamps. You're good to go.
You get some interface, and you track your songs, and if the songs are cool, it's going to be cool, and you're going to be excited by it. But there's just a...
So what is it? Like... Is it just, I mean, the bird's eye view, the third part, the objective, like, outlook on making a record is literally just so
records
valuable.
It's a never-ending journey.
Right.
It never ends.
It could always get better.
It never ends.
What
Even
do
if
you
you're
mean?
the best,
Clarify
you have to stay on top. The number one mix guy in the world has to keep pumping out mixes.
Right.
You can't.
Right. Especially today.
Yeah, you can't. There is no. It never ends. So that's the thing. Is like I've been making records since January of 2001. I guess if you technically that's when I started using Pro Tools. So we're coming up on 17 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
come on.
That's a lot of time. They say you got to spend 10,000 hours to master whatever. Like, definitely over that.
Right.
Definitely over my 10,000 hours. Still not the master of it.
That's right.
I mean.
You're still.
I know what I'm doing.
And
I'm very, very confident in what I know, but I also just know that the journey's not over. It's never over. It's never over. And eventually, you get to the point. I actually heard it described this way on another podcast. It's like Russian roulette. It's not. There's just more. There's just more chambers in the gun.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Because for as good as I know what it is I'm trying to do, and for all of the equipment I have, and all of the time I put in, and all my best intentions trying to make someone's dreams come true, still, it is humanly possible. There's going to be a bullet in that chamber. I'm going to blow it.
God, I love that.
You can't.
Yeah.
He was talking about stand-up.
No, yeah.
Like, even Chris Rock might go up there and bomb. It's just less often.
And they still do.
And so that's the thing. When I was starting out, it took more of my time. It took more time to get good results.
Right.
And I wasn't getting really paid for the extra time. And then eventually you start getting better at it and things go quicker and you're getting better results quicker and you're getting better results quicker. And then you're pretty much getting better results almost all the time. You're knocking it out of the park for people and everyone's happy almost always. But not always.
Yeah.
And that doesn't go away. For big guys, big name guys get fired from jobs.
Still,
I know for a fact they do because I've seen them get fired. Or I've been told, I've heard what they did and found, I'm not going to name names, but big top level names of dudes in the business get fired from they don't get fired from Rihanna or something. They get fired from decently big bands, but not like big bands.
Yeah,
So
and
you
the other
can
thing
still
is, like,
eat it.
being a producer is an actual art form. Obviously, it's a
Sure.
creative art form.
Yeah.
It's a creative job, and I remember hearing Trent Reznor talk about. I think it was on maybe the Sonic Highways thing or the.
Defiant ones.
No, I think it was the Dave Grohl one. Maybe it was the studio documentary. What's the LA studio documentary?
Sound City.
Sound City. Thank you. And they were talking about technology, and Dave Grohl or Josh Homme, one of them were sort of admitting their kind of not fear of it, but they're just like old school guys, like guitar, bass, drums, rock.
Yeah.
And he's obviously a technology dude.
He was there.
Tons of synths and drum machines and all. Yeah, that's
Back before it was easy.
Back way before it was easy. And he made a really clear point that, like, I'm just paraphrasing what he was saying, but basically he spent his entire childhood learning how to play the piano. Like, lessons. The time. Putting in the fucking grind. The time.
Because he thought you were going to have to. Need to.
Practice. Exactly. So all this technology, it's just another tool. It's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah.
You still have to know how to do
It's not
this.
a shortcut to
Nope.
quality
Nope.
or a quality product. There still have to be artists. And that's the thing is, like, with all the skills that I have, at the end of the day, the song or the musician or the artist or the whatever still has to be good for anyone to care.
Right.
I've made incredible sounding records that no one ever heard.
Okay, well,
I've made incredible sounding records that no one has even heard, that maybe never even got properly released on a Facebook.
Let's talk about
that never saw the light of day.
So if we've admitted that even in 2017, the role of a producer is still very prevalent and real.
Super important.
Got it. So with that said,
Yeah.
like back in the day when you and Crummett were coming up and like-minded people on your level were coming up, you guys were the Wonder Kids. You were doing it all. You were producer,
and that was just for monetary reasons, by the way.
Exactly.
We had to be able to do it all because otherwise it wasn't a living, and it wasn't like we were making tons of money.
No,
but it was like, well, you might spend a month making a record and get paid $2,000.
But where I was going with that is like
pretty good when you're 20.
So if you knew that's what, whether it was conscious or not, you knew you had to do that. That's what you had to do to survive. So what's the parallel today? What's the equivalent? Like, how does a guy set himself apart from the next fucking producer? Because
you just have to
every day there's a new producer.
It's just consistent results,
consistency,
and a sound.
But do relationships come into it? Like,
absolutely.
Exotic,
the thing is that anybody who records bands, like, has done it for a long time or produces bands, will tell you that it's mostly people managing.
Right. It's a fucking people job.
It's effectively psychology light.
Yeah. It's
weird,
and not like
I'm incepting all of these people all day.
No,
it's not
you guys are lone wolves. You exist in a dark room by yourself, but it involves so much people.
But there's a band in there, and there's 4 or 5 people that are all pinning their hopes and dreams on you.
Right.
To some degree, some guys just a little. Some guys are just like way low maintenance.
Yeah.
And then maybe one guy in the band is having panic attacks when he goes home at night because he's worried. He's worried something about the record's not going to go. You don't know the degree to which you're on the hook for this person being happy to be alive.
Yeah. So just so much more than.
But you have to know. So a big part of it that I think, one reason why I think the job has been a turnoff for some people that I know, is like that part of it is too much for them. Either they're not willing to.
Oh, I can name 5 off the top of my. We'll do it off air, but we all know who they are.
Yeah, and I don't blame them at all because you have to be able to. You're not manipulating people in a bad way. You're getting the takes you want out of them that they want.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make them feel like that's okay. And then there's other people that are worried about the thing. You're navigating a dynamic. Every band has a different dynamic.
Yep. Right.
And they could be the coolest guys on planet Earth.
Every guy in the band has a different dynamic.
But the moment the record starts getting done, you find out the dynamic. It's not about the individual guys. It's about the way that their band dynamic happens. So you'll identify, like, bass player guy is everyone's best friend. He's a super solid bass player, but he's easy, which hopefully if you want to have any hope of making a record from start to finish, the bass player should be easy.
Yep, I agree with that.
Poor bass player.
Somebody's got to be easy. It's usually the bass player, even if they're really, really good. Even really good ones. They're actually really good ones are usually super easy because they're like, I got this. You know, they don't worry about anything. There's got to be 1 to 2 guys that are high five gimmies.
Right.
Where they're like, they trust you and they know they've got their stuff down and they're not going to project a bunch of their problems on you.
Right.
And then after that, if you're lucky enough to have a band that isn't all just, you know, more difficult characters. And that doesn't mean they're not killer dudes. But I mean difficult in a sense that they have these lofty goals and you have to interpret what they want.
Right.
The vocalist might want something different than the guitar player wants, and you might want something different than them. And the thing that you need to get is the thing that somehow everyone is happy with.
You got to read into all the lines and all the notes. And...
Like, you have to know, is this too aggressive for them? This guy thinks he's in a rock band. This guy thinks he's in a hardcore band.
Exactly.
You think they're in a hardcore rock band.
Right.
Where is the line to where one guy comes into the studio and
we're a hardcore band.
What do you mean singing? I mean, that was a big deal in the mid-2000s. Was putting clean singing on a record.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was. A lot of guys thought it was a
sellout.
Yeah, sellout.
Yeah, it was cop out, sellout move. Guys wouldn't put
to do clean choruses.
Yep. They wouldn't do. They wouldn't sing. It was like, well, we can't sing. We're not a hardcore band. And that's obviously a very black and white example of a band like having to navigate something. Every decision is something like that.
So so essentially, I mean that would be, you know, this isn't an advice podcast, but that would be a tip you would give people coming up as producers, or even people that have been doing it almost as long as you.
You just got to realize you're dealing with people and their dreams.
So just
you're dealing with people's dreams. You're not just dealing with
their hopes and their future.
You're dealing with and it's been building up, and you don't even know how long.
So heavy.
Those Exotic Animal Petting Zoo songs, by the way,
damn it.
They had been. Those songs at that point were like 2.5 or 3 years old, or maybe 4 years old. Some of them,
right?
And they had already recorded them with a buddy. Half of them had been recorded with a buddy in town when they were young.
The second one or
the first album?
The first album.
And then they recorded it. They went to Hollywood and recorded it and had it scrapped. By the time I recorded those songs, some of them were 4 years old. They had been recorded twice. And these guys went from being children to being men while it happened.
Jesus
and here I am.
Christ.
They drove all the way out to the other coast again.
Right.
You think I didn't have to nail that record? I had to.
And because you did, then you got to do the second one, which I've already told you is arguably one of my favorite ones you've ever done.
I mean, again, and that comes down to what I was saying about, like, at the end of the day, you can make a great sounding record. You should always make records that sound good. You should just always make records that sounds good.
Andrew, there's a song off the record he did. What's the fucking record?
Tree of Tongues?
Thank you. Tree of Tongues. We'll do one of the songs as a outro at the end of the show. That's what we'll do. We'll probably do it in post, not in real time. But
ultimately,
just a note.
Everything that you work on, there's. I always look at production as like, well,
which one do you want us to do?
Oh no, you do that. Oh, songs of theirs.
What song?
I do love them all. I'm. Boy, that's almost impossible. I mean, Pharmacokinetic. The first song is fantastic. I mean, it's great. They're all great.
They're all great.
I don't know how I would pick.
We'll pick a good one. Don't worry.
I mean, The Great Explainer is pretty ridiculous. The Great Explainer is always like had a place in my heart because it's insane. Although the song after it's more insane than it, or 2 songs later is more insane than that. Yeah, I don't know.
How many songs are off Tree of Tongues?
Was that 11?
Yeah, I think so. That was 2012.
Well, I think it came out in 12. It was actually done quite a bit sooner than that. But.
I mean, how do you pronounce it? Apis Bowl?
Yeah, Apis Bowl's cool.
Fucking cool.
Pictures is really cool. I mean, Pictures will show you how crazy they are if you play track 4.
Okay.
But anyway,
we'll play.
So here's the point. Like, there's making records sound good, which I feel like should always be like at minimum that's what you're gonna do.
It's the job.
That should be the job.
But the producers, I feel like always forget that you're fucking with people's lives.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're also paying you.
legitimately.
And they're
I know
paying
it's
you.
obvious,
Why-
but
and I
they're
never,
a
I never
customer.
forget any of that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there the whole time going like, and that's the thing. It's that willing things into happening. If you don't have that, it's a tough job.
Right.
Because I've had records go sideways on people. Don't let anyone tell you they don't. They go sideways on you. And again, it happens less and less often, and you identify why it went sideways, and you never do whatever the hell that thing is again, and you find all the little things that you're doing that cause you to go, these records came out good and I did this. I had problems with these records and I did this. Don't do that again. And you whittle it down and you whittle it down so that hopefully, you don't blow it.
And that's what you can't find on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what. There's no experience for that.
Yep.
There's no experience. There's no YouTube tutorial of getting out of a jam of any variety.
That's a huge point, Neil. That's not the thing that you're gonna learn.
That's what he was talking
YouTube.
about with the whole experience thing. Because
I know what not to do, and I know what to do if I know even certain things. There are certain mistakes that if I come across, either I got sent tracks where they made this amateur mistake that I remember making, or I made a mistake that is still, if I screw up, I usually know a way out of it now. I try not to make them at all, but I made them enough. I've gotten enough tracks with weird things where I figured out processes for straightening it out.
Yep.
Oh, they only sent me this, and they needed to send me this. You're like, I think I can. I'll ask. I think unless this track is there and I'm not seeing it, I think I'd come up with something because you had to before.
From what I've heard too, because the point you were making earlier, part of the reason I got my start was because, like you said, in the 90s and stuff, there was no middle ground. But in the city of Portland, so we had the Seven Hawks and the Chris Crummets, and then we also had the dude in a basement in his mom's place who just bought Pro Tools. So I was the middle guy in that sense, which is how I got my start. But so they would pay. I've heard, they tell me horror stories. They'd go pay a big time dude in some city, travel like you were talking about, and then it would turn out some
it was
part
a side
to
paycheck, and he didn't care.
Yeah, exactly. And so then they would send it to me, and is there something you can do? And that's how I got the whole start. But the whole point is you're fucking with people's dreams, like you said.
It matters.
It's their lives. It's
all
their
that
future.
stuff they did to write the songs hinges on you nailing it to some degree. It does. But the thing, to get back to Exotic I was talking about, you gotta make it sound good. You want the music to be good. You want there to be a spark there. You can pump something up and then there's records sounding good and also sounding cool. Mm-hmm. You can make a bad sounding record that sounds cool.
Oh yeah.
You can make a good sounding record that isn't that cool. It's just extremely good.
Right. Sonically good.
Sounds professional and it's punchy and it's clear.
And again,
or you can make this DIY farty lo-fi. We put a bunch of plugins on everything, and the songs could be great, but it's cool but not good sounding. For me, obviously the goal of production is to just propel the songs as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And if you get a song that allows, you should try to make it cool and good.
Right.
And that sounds dumb, but that's not really dumb because people
not.
I don't think people really realize and so at some point you have to be realistic. You're like, this is like a pop punk band, they're not bringing anything to the table, they don't have any money, and they're not even all on the same page of what they want to do, and they're just doing a song and they're young. And you go, I got to make this sound as good as I can. I got to try and give it some X factor, but it's never going to be Exotic Animal Petting Zoo.
Right. You know that.
It might even sound better.
Right.
You might even get things about it. There's ooh, this is so spatial and whatever, but nobody cares if the stuff within it isn't good.
And sometimes there's only so much you can do.
And sometimes there's
You're
only
not
so much
in
you
the
can
band.
do.
You didn't
And
write
you
the
literally
songs.
got to
You're
do
not-
everything you can do has to be done.
That's right.
And on a record like
Interesting.
either of those Exotic Animal Petting Zoo records, unfortunately for my lifestyle at the time when I made them, the amount of things I could do to make it cool seemed infinite.
Right. You did them all.
Every time you do as much as you can think of. You can do as much as occurs to you. And with those records, the sky was kind of the limit.
You did everything on you produced, mixed,
everything.
Okay, so that leads us to our other little question here. And so we'll do one more question for Steph, and then we'll move on to our different segment.
I like segments.
Moving on to a segment.
Large segments, small segments, wide
It's like
segments.
average sized. It's like
Adequate
a good
segments.
standard American size.
You said the segment was a good size.
It's good. It'll work.
Okay. Can't wait.
Okay, so out of producing, mixing, mastering,
Mhm.
what do you love the most?
Well,
Dun, dun, dun. If you love them all, that's cool. But like, let me rephrase it.
I do.
I'm gonna guess.
This is a
after
two-part
you.
question. I think I know
I'm
too.
gonna guess.
What do you love the most? Which means what do you? Not what do you love the most. What brings you the most fulfillment? Okay, so that's
Okay,
the first part.
That's a
I
very
think
That's
I
a
know
better way
the
to
answer.
ask it. But this follow-up question to that is, what do you want to be doing? What's like the ideal spot? What do you want to be doing the most?
It's a really, really good question, and I think about it often.
Okay,
And
I'm
I'm
going to
not-
take bets in my own mind.
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, the world is going to dictate to some degree. I'm not going to will myself into doing all I want. But ultimately, you kind of got to see what happens. I mean, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to do this now. I mean, I could. But my thing is I do whatever needs done. From everything to just mastering, to just mixing, to just engineering, which I actually, believe it or not, I have a couple projects where they just had me track stuff and they sent it out. I'm like, oh, let me know. It's not common that happens. The most fulfilling,
Yeah, well, like makes you feel
the most fulfilling
good,
is a record like that, or a record like an Exotic Animal Petting Zoo,
where you just
where you
bled
get to put
for
it
it. You
all
just
in.
did
Either
it.
the first Eye on the Ocean album,
okay.
or I mean the first one I did, Escapist Fiction, or the new Visitors album, EP album that's going to be coming out. I mean, there's tons, like the new Icarus
But
the album.
when you bleed like
but we're
that, that's
talking
not
where the
sustainable,
band, where you
right?
almost become.
The fifth member, as
Yeah,
it
and
were.
you're
or the-
kind of always
yeah.
the fifth member. It's hard to explain the difference. But, like, yeah, you take, like, working with the music where you know it's special, working with artists where you know it's special, and where you know the stakes are higher,
Yeah.
which is why it's not going to be the answer to my next question. But the stakes are really, really high. The money's usually not that great
There you go. Now we're getting somewhere.
because you're basically killing yourself,
killing
putting
yourself
pressure on yourself.
3 times the amount of time.
And you're spending more time because, again, there's more time to be spent.
Right.
Spending more time on something doesn't make it better.
No.
In fact, you can overwork things
course.
to get worse.
Yes.
I will stop 4 hours into a workday because I know
This is it.
the next 2 hours is just going to be worse.
Dog shit.
And I'm
Yeah.
better off leaving on a high note with a killer mix that I can come back at with fresh ears tomorrow than I am starting to let the self-doubt creep in because I worked for 2 hours extra.
Right.
That's not 2 hours extra. That's money lost. That's life derailed. That's not good.
Okay.
Making big records with demanding material is a lot of that. You're beating yourself up. It's taking a chunk out of you.
It's a young man's game.
And it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a young man's game, but you have to be willing to do it.
Right.
I mean, you have to be willing to do it, and you have to have the tank. You got to have enough in the tank to do it.
Right.
Doing that kind of thing back to back.
Ooh.
I mean, I've done, as grueling.
You've done it.
I've done it, but
You've done it.
it's not good for your life. It's not good for your mental health to just constantly like this.
Oh,
is
and especially if you have
Yeah.
any personal life at all.
yeah,
I
that,
found
and
that
that
out the
You
hard
know?
way.
Like, right. Most producers I know are either eternally single or were single for a very long time.
and have
had a hard
gotten to the
time
point where they can do it well enough to have both. But
That's right.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege.
I
only
couldn't
know
have
a
done.
few.
I couldn't have lived my life.
I mean, I think you and Crumb Dog are the only like close ones. Out of the guys I represent, there's not a one.
You got to be.
I mean, Mike's got a long-term relationship, but that's sort of
you got to
new
be
for him.
You got to be. Yeah, you got to be able
Right?
to do that.
I mean,
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to a point where you can do it and you can check all the boxes and you can have a life.
Okay.
But that's only if you spend your doodly solo time churning through the experience. You have to do the grinding.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
You grind.
You
And then
can't-
eventually you're still grinding,
There's no avoiding that, right?
but
That's
it's not the
fuck-
same
there's
as the
no
grinding
avoiding
that
the
I
work.
used to do.
Work is very real. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to put in the fucking work.
Yeah. And you still have to. It's not like I'm some lazy guy who works 4 hours a day.
No, of course
That's not it.
Of course not. No.
but it's not 19 hours a day for 3 months straight.
And it's not 19 hours.
Which I did
right.
while recording Tree of Tongues. I was doing tons of other things.
Jesus Christ.
So I wasn't working on their album for 3 months straight. I mean, they were in town for 6 weeks. We had so much fun hanging out and I was doing so many other things. We really only were making the record for maybe a little over 3 weeks. They were there for 6 weeks because they didn't want to go home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like we would. Well, so what happened was like I basically the reason the record came out late was like I was like, well, I can do the record. We'll do the record now, but I don't want to be rushed into having to finish it.
Yeah.
I agreed to do the record on the terms that it wouldn't be like you're going to need this in a month, because A, the records don't necessarily happen that way, and B, I had a lot going on. So they came and recorded knowing that I would have other stuff kind of going on, but also they didn't want to leave. They wanted to be, they didn't want to go home, really. I mean, if we're being honest. So
that was pre them being married and having
kids. They were
one.
Yeah, Stephen and his wife were together, and she came out for a little while.
Now, for that record, Stephan, remind me, was that a label?
Yeah, Media Scare.
Oh, what? Okay, that's right. You talked about
that was the deal. The guy, Baron Media Scare knew.
That's right. Okay.
Because of the first record and because of the way I was working and the way that band is, they're like, listen, he's going to take some time. We can't be pushing this thing up against a deadline. It won't get done right. Nobody will be happy. So I was like, we'll do it this way. We'll do it in this period. But everybody's got to be flexible with timelines and make sure that it all just happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Right.
Part of that is that I had a crazy Guitar Center balance of stuff from gear that I had bought, and I was going to will myself to pay a $7,000 credit card with 3 months of time to earn $7,000 of disposable income, not to earn $7,000.
Right.
I had to earn $7,000 of extra money that had no need in the world. And I figured that out right before Exotic showed up to do that record. I figured all this out. So not only was I working with them a lot, but I was, they know there's all these albums that I worked on that I would work on all night, and they'd come in and they'd get to know the songs, and they'd be like, hey, how's that going? I mixed the My Body Sings Electric album while they were there. I was doing that in the mornings and then in the evenings, and I was doing a bunch of other stuff. Chris Margolin, I mixed an album for him.
Yeah. Wow. Really?
I was doing an unbelievable amount of things while making their record, which was obviously a pretty insane record. I literally worked 6+ days a week, 19 hours, 15 to 19 hours a day, mostly on the 19-hour side.
Is that when I was like sleeping there too?
Yeah, this would have been, it was January 2011. It was when Sleeping with Sirens was recording across the hall with Chris.
Yeah, no, I think, it was right after.
Yeah, because, Let's Cheer to This was being recorded, and the Exotic dudes and the Sleeping with Sirens dudes, we were all hanging out and drinking their Rockstar. And
okay, so we went off on a tangent on producing. But
the point is that that's the most fulfilling part.
Okay, so
when you create it and you nail it and it gets done and it exists forever and you can sit on a couch in a house you own and talk about it on a podcast.
Right.
That's...
Well, it's what earns the fucking badge.
Yes, that's the most fulfilling.
Okay.
And
now,
if we lived in the 90s and I could do 2 of those a year and have enough money to live, if I got paid $100,000 a record like guys used to for mixing,
sounds amazing.
If I got paid $100,000 a record and I had to go all in or whatever, and I could just make 2 of those a year and then do a little bit of side stuff.
And you do Soundgarden.
That's what I do.
Right.
That's what I would do.
Okay.
I would not work as much as I work. I would just work on stuff like that.
What about your current 2017 reality?
My 2017 reality is definitely not that.
Mixed master?
Yeah. I mean, basically...
Which one? Or both?
I think you're a mixing guy, but mastering...
I know. That's it. Okay, so I took a bet in my head, and I bet mastering.
Ultimately, that's... There's 2 sides to this, is that people don't really think about this stuff long term, but when you're sitting there like, well, I'm 34 years old now, which sounds old to me, but it's very young.
Sure. I
mean, I feel old because I've been doing this apparently for my entire life, as we've discovered.
Right.
But mastering is where it ends up. That's where it ends up.
It's kind of what
for me, that's where it ends up. And part of it is going to be, A, because I really love it. And you get the fulfillment. You get your high fives from the band for a lot less work.
And are you set up? Are you in a place where you're pretty much set up to do mastering full time, gear wise?
Yeah. I do tons of mastering.
Well, I know you do, but I mean, like, would you, because there's mastering.
Well, I don't. No, I wouldn't want to do just that right now.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to do just. I mean, I guess if it was just.
Fell into your lap, perfect situation.
Yeah, if it was just like if I could just do a boatload of mastering a few days a week, and I'd consider it. I guess there's not so much. Mastering is still like something I can do. I can take some time, set aside some time a week, or come in early in the day with fresh ears and knock stuff out before my session. Sometimes it is what I do for a week at a time. I just do tons of mastering. I mean, it does happen, but I'll do whatever. I mean, that's the thing is I'm still down for whatever, and the variety keeps me able to do it all.
Okay.
So when a band comes in and says, we want to do the deal and you got to make our dreams come true, it's probably been...
The full meal deal, yeah.
It's probably been a little while since I did one of those.
That's keys, getting the variety.
It's like what we did at Target. I did carts, I did Food Avenue, I did cashiering, and I worked at the help desk, and they'd pull you to the back. Like, that made that job bearable when you did a variety of jobs.
Okay, I love it.
For me, that's the way it is, too. I can't just, like, band left 3 days ago, band coming in for 6 weeks. Band, I could do it.
Right.
I just don't want to.
Gotcha.
That's not the way I don't want my life to be about that.
Hey, Andrew, can we pause this?
I'll take a million miles to be my dick tonight. So if you feel my dick, turn up my dick.
Nothing going on.
Done.
Country's content. People all get along. End of story. Great day, guys.
What do you
Mark
got,
it down.
AC?
All right, so Anthony Weiner is back.
Oh, God, I heard about this.
21 months
Stephan,
for sexting a 15-year-old.
He's going to prison for 21 months.
And this just came out?
This just came out.
I didn't even see this.
Look at that pic,
or
though.
something.
Look at that bod. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, Pauly Shore looking motherfucker.
I do like the bod.
Andrew, go up to the description. I just want to read that. Okay, so Anthony Weiner sexted another girl and bragged his nose is, quote, or nose is so big that it hits the clit. Jesus.
Man, he's an animal.
You know what's
disaster.
By the way, do you know what's sad about Anthony Weiner?
What's
that he is like, obviously he's a sex addict and he's clearly has.
How could he not? His
he's obviously like
there's no shot.
But like his politics are exactly the kind of politics that you want.
I know. He was on Real Time with Bill Maher. This guy fucking rules.
Well, yeah, and he was like a champion of tons of great issues and things that you like want. Yeah. But I mean, statistically, we don't know. Back in the day, this is the information age, man. Nobody knows what Einstein was up to.
Well, it's
nobody knows. You don't know.
Well, what is it? Gary Vee says it's like, and now like if you're trying to fake it, you're gonna get found out.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, you have to. Media I mean, if we try to fake who we were on this podcast, we try to posture and act like someone we're not. Good luck with that.
Yeah, and whatever he's doing is terrible, and he's going to jail, and that's right to do.
So whatever happened with the first scandal, though? Did he go
to jail?
Hey, go back to that, Andrew.
Oh, he went to jail, got back out, and now he's doing it again?
It says, after a few dry exchanges, he sent a topless selfie of himself and then asked if we could move the conversation to Snapchat. When I asked him why his username was Poolboy1, he told me, quote, "No one would ever guess that I'd be a pool boy."
Smart. You got it.
What? No.
So he's put thought behind this. He's been trying to avoid this for a while.
Yeah, subvert the system. Nice job, Weiner.
This is some first degree kind of shit.
Instead, he sent me videos of himself jacking off and pictures of him of cum shots and his erect penis in his boxers.
So was it a sting? No, or this was the girl.
No, and she was 15. Is that right, AC?
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there you have it.
Over. I mean, you can only do that shit for so long.
I don't know why he thought he was going to get away with it again.
What I want to know is...
How many times now?
That's 3 that they've confirmed.
Yeah.
That's 3 incidents.
What I want to know is why are 15-year-old girls getting his number?
It's a valid question.
I don't know how it gets to that.
I don't know how... I don't know
that's my
how
question.
Any of this happens.
I don't have the number of a single underage girl in my phone to the best of my knowledge. Unless somebody's number got changed or something. I don't know, and I'm not as old as Anthony Weiner, so...
I don't know.
I at one point did, like stepsisters and cousins, and I mean, I guess you might have like your nieces and nephews' numbers,
Yeah.
and that's the only reason.
That's the only reason. That's right.
That's family
only.
though.
Outside of family, I don't know
Why-
how in the hell you get a 14-year-old
Where does he
girl's
meet
phone
these
number.
people?
Well, now it's
And they're making
Snapchat.
it sound like he. So it's Snapchat.
So that's the thing. It's not like he's texting with them.
Well, he asked if we could move it to Snapchat. Isn't that what it said?
Yeah.
So where were they moving from?
So they're
And how did
texting.
he get that information? Yeah.
Right here it says about 20 minutes after I sent this tweet, what she said.
he slid into my DMs.
Yeah, the 2013 Mario. Yeah,
Yeah.
he slid into her DMs.
God.
He
20
slipped
minutes
that wiener
after she
into the
tweeted that
DM.
out, he came right at her.
Ugh. Yeah, slid in my DMs and something along the lines of, yeah, they tend to forget that about me.
So was he just sending these unsolicited? Does it say, or was she like striking up a conversation with a politician?
Well, she just sent it out on a Twitter.
Well, yeah, the post.
Yeah, and then he fucking slid in her DMs.
Oh.
Oh, so she put up a post saying what a good politician or how good his politics
Yeah,
were, and then he went after her. So that's how it got kicked
Yeah.
off.
There's the tweet.
Yeah.
The tweet is just watched Wiener about at Anthony Weiner and his 2013 mayoral run. Funny how the press didn't even cover his policies for the middle class.
Which were good.
That's cool.
But then
Fun
he
tweet.
saw
And he
someone tag him and
takes
went
that.
like, I got a DM.
I gotta show her my dick.
Oh, it's
So,
done. It's a
I
done
gotta
deal.
show her my wiener, my Anthony's wiener.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean,
Really?
Isn't he
Poor
married
guy.
or was married?
Well,
I want to say
well,
poor
he's
guy.
just screwed and he can't help himself. He obviously can't help
Right,
himself.
he's clearly an addict.
I got a news flash for you guys.
Damn.
There's going to be a percentage of any group of people that are all fucked up.
I think everybody is to some
People
degree.
get
This just
people, and this is the thing. As I sound like I'm like going easy.
No,
Sounds
I
like
get
I'm
it.
going soft on the
Is
guy.
that the girl?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're not going
Sounds like I'm not going in on him too
Hard.
hard.
hard on the wiener.
I don't get that shocked by stuff like this because I am I don't think a ton of humanity in some regards. Like,
Sure. Yeah, it's no.
people
fucking
get upset when
surprise.
like a football player punches a woman,
I'm
and I
not.
go,
They're
you
monsters.
You get together 1,000 people and put them in any group.
Yeah. Oh,
Some
yeah.
of them are going to punch
There's
women.
how many people in America? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
300. I'm so proud.
So it's like people go, I can't believe these politicians are having illicit sex and
Oh, they've been doing that for
homosexual sex
centuries.
in bathrooms and
Yeah.
texting girls. It's like, well, they're people.
Yeah.
They're people. So
What
yes,
is that? What is that, Andrew?
a percentage of them are going to be horrible.
323 million people as of 2016. Yeah, so even
You
just
get
in
together
America
100
alone-
people. One of them's going to be racist. One of them's going to be a rapist. I don't know what the stats are, but it doesn't matter. Like, if there's a big group of people, I'm not going to get shocked when some of them do terrible things.
Just in the room we're in right now with 4 people. Of these 4 people,
Can you only imagine?
It's just the percentage
some
of
of us
rapists.
have
and-
been substance abusers. Some of
There's
us have
some. We've all done some things. So yeah, I look at those stories and I look at it with sort of a like. Obviously, he deserves justice to come to him.
Sure.
He's not going to get out of it just because I like his policies. Doesn't mean I think he shouldn't go to jail. Obviously, he should. But you just go. This is going to happen. The human element is pervasive in everything.
Oh my God.
Whatever humans do,
Right.
if a human's involved, nothing's off the table. You got football players punch their pregnant girlfriends.
Yeah, and
But you probably got guys
That's
that
not
are
even-
welders that punch their pregnant girlfriends.
Yeah, but the
you just don't
difference.
hear about it.
The difference is, though, in my opinion, is like these are people like in Wiener's case.
can't fight it.
Well, it's he's devoted his whole life to public service. You would think these people have some sort of.
It's
They
not
are
living.
human.
It's
but-
not living if you don't do what you do. What would be the point of being
living.
some public figure if you didn't get to live the life you wanted to live? That's it. That's all.
Sounds like he uses the.
That's why you can't help it.
He uses it to to. Get,
He'd be like, well, what was the point of all
That's
this if
actually
I
a really
wasn't
good
going to
point.
try and text underage girls?
That's a good point.
It's like, why do you...
No, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it sounds stupid, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like, because he is that guy, and he does have this platform,
he
that's-
just so
that's
happens to
just
be in the
what's gonna
public
happen.
spotlight. Yeah.
it's either cocaine or shoving dildos up his butt or texting 15-year-old girls.
Whatever it was, it's not going to be like, because he becomes famous, that's not going to make it go away.
No, it makes it
Oh
worse.
no.
It makes it worse because he feels like he's entitled
By the
to
way, who's the one
whatever
that
it
pointed
is.
out he looks like Pauly Shore?
I
It
did.
was Andrew, and he really does.
Jesus, that's accurate.
Pauly Shore meets like Brandon Boyd.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. Meets Neil Angle.
What?
There's
No,
a little
say
Neil
that.
Angle. Oh, Jesus.
Don't.
There's a
Yeah.
little Eastern European Jew.
15,
God damn
20%, baby, at least.
Are you Jewish?
No.
What
not
are
even.
you? What you look super.
Half Irish, half Native American.
Oh, that's
Family-
what it is. You
family
look very
grew
native,
Christian.
right?
Yeah.
Does he look kind of
He does
native?
look kind of native.
Is that what it is?
It's all the dark. I'm basically Irish without the red. That's
Right.
basically what I am. I get.
I'm just shitty white European all around.
Yeah.
Scottish, Irish.
What else you got for us, Drew?
Yeah, what's next, bud?
All right, let's go on to the Trump administration.
Oh,
God.
Things are going great there.
really?
Damn it.
People are
What could
talking about
possibly go
Trump.
wrong?
I would have never thought.
Never.
He's in the news today?
Really?
What did he do
He was in
now?
the news yesterday. He couldn't possibly be in the news 2 days in a row.
What did he do now, Drew? What do you got?
Well, the most current one is they have given up on the new proposal to repeal
Woo.
ACA. So the
the Affordable Care
Trump
Act.
tweet about
yeah,
it?
not yet,
He
but I'm
tweeted
sure.
about it. I can't wait for
So
that.
it says Senate Republicans on Tuesday officially abandoned the latest plan to repeal the Affordable
They don't
Care
have the
Act,
votes, yeah. They weren't going to have
shoving a showdown vote on the measure and effectively admitting defeat in their last gasp to fulfill a core promise of President Trump and Republican leaders. Yeah, because that was like one of the big things, right? It's like build the wall,
Well, he said they were going to repeal it first day.
repeal the act.
He said they were going to repeal Obamacare first day.
Oh, so
He said, not my first 100 days, my first 100 minutes or something. He said something funny.
Andrew, just to go off what you just brought up, I saw something about the wall. Where is it? Hold on.
There's not going to be a wall.
Oh no, it says something about like the first contractors were chosen to build the wall.
You mean the border fence? Because it's not a wall. It's a fence.
Yeah.
It's not what
No,
they
I
said.
can't find it right
We're
now.
definitely paying for it. I don't know what. I don't.
I mean, it's all of that shit. It's like he promises to do all this shit, and everyone's surprised that he's not going to do it. Oh, he couldn't build an entire wall across the country?
Weird.
What a surprise.
Yeah, I'm a builder. I build things. I love. We always say that. I go.
Yeah.
You physically went and built them, or you had like millions of dollars to get them built, because this isn't your money. There's no. I mean, I know the government's got a lot of money, but you kind of have to decide what you're gonna.
Oh, they're building prototypes.
Yeah, prototypes
Oh,
for
is
the
that-
wall.
Yeah, which is going to cost even more money.
Sure, it'll cost a ton of money just to come up with the prototypes. And by the way, that's not a wall; it's a fence.
Yeah, so here it is.
Well, it's
Just
a
so
picture of a fence.
It's a fence. Is what they're gonna make. They're not gonna make a wall.
Where does it say
Why
that?
would you make a wall when you can make a fence?
Well, 'cause
Trump
people
and-
can get through a fence.
Trump administration selects contractors for border wall prototypes. What does that? I mean,
They're gonna look like fences.
He's taking estimates, is what he's doing.
Yeah.
each prototype will be 30 feet tall and 30 feet wide and cost between $400,000 and about $500,000.
Just for
Wonderful.
a
Just
little
seems
prototype of the
reasonable.
fence that
Seems
they're
really-
not gonna make.
Yeah, just for xenophobia, and it's so crazy.
It's over. I was having a conversation with somebody about this who was, like, well, but there is an immigration problem. I go, it's over though. It already happened. Like, if you were gonna build a wall and that was your thing, if you were anti-immigrant and that's your thing,
Yeah.
what you need is a time machine.
Right. Yeah. They're here.
It's over.
They're here.
They're here, and their kids have been born and are now in college.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
It's over.
Vice just did a document, or like a 45-minute document. You know, they do weekly
Yeah.
things every week. They did a piece about MS-13. The El Salvadorian gang. Andrew, look that shit up. How Trump is like waged a war against MS-13. They're like the crazy fucking gang bangers with like tattoos on their head and like tattoos of fucking devils on their neck and shit. They're
Alright.
just mean motherfuckers. Bad dudes, but the point is he's overlooking the fact that it's an El Salvadorian gang that was actually built here in LA. So they're immigrants from El Salvador. They come here in the 90s, late 80s. They have nowhere to go. They're just jobless, just fucking shitty life. So they start this gang. And then he said, look at that. Look at those pictures. They're fucking maniacs.
So what's he gonna do?
So anyway, he's like deporting them by the hundreds, thousands, just getting rid of them left and right. But he's just sending them back to El Salvador with no plan.
Sure.
And in El Salvador, the police, the law enforcement has a war, literally a war, waged against the gang. So they kill them, like sight unseen. They just, as soon as they see him, they kill him.
Sure.
So there's all these guys that get off the airport and they're like being interviewed, like, we're literally worried about being killed as soon as we go home. And keep in mind, just because they're gang members doesn't mean they're actively like bad dudes.
Oh no.
They made a bad choice early on in life. They have all these tattoos and they're trying to do something different. But like, I'm not trying to have sympathy for an awful
no,
gang,
yeah.
but you see my point.
My
like,
whole thing is that
there's just
like
so much non-thinking.
it already happened.
Yeah.
My point with immigration is that it already happened. If it was the 80s, late 80s especially, would have been fine still probably. If it had been the 80s or sooner, and you said you want to build a wall, that would have been like, maybe that would slow things down. And then you can debate whether or not that's morally okay or what this country's about. That whole discussion would be like a thing that you could do afterwards. But there isn't... The wall at this point, it's done. Like it's done. Like immigration isn't currently a problem to the degree to which the wall is going to try and address it. Like the monetary downsides to immigration as of now will be outweighed by the cost of the wall. It can't possibly be worth it now.
No, it can't. No.
Now, if you could go back and build the wall in the late 80s,
But even then, like,
and change public policy, and you wanted to be more...
but you just said it, change public policy. Like, that's how you do things. Trump's whole, like, goal in being a president is, like, the way that a 12-year-old is like, when I'm president, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to build
Cookies
a wall,
for everyone.
Cookies for everyone. And I'm going to get rid of the bad guys and go to war with the...
And they act like that's
you know,
Bernie Sanders' platform is like cookies for everyone.
Right.
But it's like, he's like, well, if we're going to try and give away stuff, it should at least be to, like, I don't know, our people.
Right.
Like, I like the idea.
Bernie can string
The
together
idea
a
of
sentence.
the takers and the welfare and all that, I was like, I don't buy it because it's not a real thing.
And look at that. The Trump thing against the NFL players taking a knee. Trump, I was
Stupidest
quote,
thing
I
he
was
ever did.
ashamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the stupid
I
thing
can't
I've ever seen.
believe, I mean, if
gives
anybody
a fuck?
if anybody gets to thank Donald Trump for that, it's Colin Kaepernick.
Well, the problem
The
is
guy's out of a job because of it, and now everyone else is doing it, and like he's probably
everyone's
going to
playing
get a
into
job.
it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it looks like it's gaining a lot of momentum.
course it
It's
is.
gained a lot of momentum.
And
And
I
he went on
can't-
Twitter and he
Yeah.
implied, he didn't even imply, he said
No,
that
he
the
said-
NFL should fire people who do it.
Yeah, that's by the way against the law.
It is against the law.
It's against the law for a
For a
public
president,
official to incite other people.
Look, the
to lose
NFL is a
their
private
jobs.
company. They can do whatever they want,
Yeah.
but the fucking president of the United States shouldn't be the one implying that.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's not, it's crazy to me. He'd be better off having not said anything, but he can't help himself. This isn't
Can't
about
help
policy. It's
He
not
said
about
it
a
in
thing.
Alabama. All the implications are so crazy.
He just knew he would get like cheers.
Right.
He just wanted cheers.
But he can't help himself. That's the thing, though. He can't help himself to like say something about African Americans trying to make a point on something.
I mean, he didn't
very
say
real.
African Americans, to be fair.
But well, that's what I'm saying.
He didn't say that.
What did he say?
He just said NFL players.
Right, but we all know what
But
he's
the
talking
protest
about.
is about,
Over 70% of the fucking NFL is,
and that's
are
not
black
even just
men.
that.
Yeah.
It's that the protesting is about
It's about that.
the police
shooting.
brutality
That's
on
right.
the black people. So that's the point when people go, he never used the words
Well, that's what he's
African
saying.
American. It's
But,
like,
but
yes,
my
but that's
point
what the
is his
protests are for.
energy to defend that or to criticize that, he didn't even have 0.5 of that energy to defend that he's not supportive of white supremacists or that he's
Because he is.
connected to, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
fucking
absolutely.
maddening.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, if you want to understand
It's so crazy.
what someone's true politics are, and I'm sure there's actually like a line of questioning that you can ask them to find out whether they know. They might claim I'm a libertarian or I'm a liberal or I'm a whatever, but I'm sure there's a list of questions that you can ask someone to determine what their politics really are, and he's up there all day pretty much just showing us what he really thinks.
It's crazy.
I mean, I had this conversation with people. I was like, him letting Arpaio go, and him.
Is that the sheriff guy?
Yeah.
Or
It's
is
like
it
all of
just
that
a
stuff.
disaster?
That's it's still our country, guys. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
And I'm not saying that I think he is a Nazi or a white supremacist.
No, of course not. No.
But he is. It doesn't really matter at the point where you.
Well, his whole slogan, "Make America Great Again,"
At the
says
point,
it all.
yeah, at the point where you allow for those things to go on, or you encourage them, or you wink them, you failed. I mean, that people always talk about this Russia investigation, this, that, and the other. Let me explain to you a side of the Russia investigation maybe you haven't thought of. Even if they find no collusion, just say they come up, we came up empty, squeaky clean. He still loses because he's not doing anything to fix it.
That's exactly fucking right.
So this is what I'm saying is
exactly
best case scenario for Trump.
it's the
He's committing
non-effort.
treason by not protecting
Dude,
us.
Could you imagine
at
if
all.
Obama were in the same situation? Or
Yeah.
fuck it. Because now it sounds like I'm making it left versus right. Any president of any time, Bush,
Anyone.
anyone, would make it so clear
They're
that
like,
they weren't involved.
If
or
you
like,
did or didn't do it, is still they're going, well, there's an investigation. Cool.
Cool.
Regardless of that, they're not doing anything to stop it from happening again.
dude, it's
And that's treasonous. I mean,
It is.
that's the government's job. Part of the government's job is to protect its citizens from
Well,
foreign
what do you
governments.
think's gonna okay, so we obviously grew up with the Bush era. I mean, obviously there's Clinton before that and stuff.
Bush,
but like
Clinton,
when,
and then Bush too.
right,
yeah.
but when we were like seething little teenagers,
9/11 times.
9/11 times, it was Bush.
Graduated
By
high
the way,
school, great
never
summer.
Never
9/11
thought you'd miss
happened.
Bush, did you?
I still don't miss him,
But you know what I'm saying.
but I miss him compared
you know
to
what
this
I'm
guy.
saying.
But
Yeah, I don't miss him, but like, fuck's sake, comparatively. But anyway,
George
like,
W. Bush technically did a lot worse. Had much more disastrous results to his presidency.
Sure.
However, he did not
sure.
do the kind of harm to the office of the
But my
presidency.
point being, like, it produced a lot of productive anger.
Yeah.
It produced a lot of rad bands, a lot of fucking rad art,
Counterculture.
movies, counterculture. And I'm just wondering, like, I'm sure it's happening now. There's got to be a band I'm excited to see. There's got to be a band right now sitting in some.
It's called
parent state-
Sustainer.
Is that right?
The whole record's political.
Yeah, but they're in their 30s.
No,
Which,
what's
that
wrong with
doesn't
that?
they're
matter.
not all in their 30s.
They're not in their 30s.
Bunch of old guys. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they're not old guys.
But okay, well, that's a good example. Then that's a good example. So
People
You know,
are
It's a very political record.
well, it's,
awesome. Really?
and the problem here that I will say,
When's that come out, Neil?
By the end of the year, hopefully.
whenever he finishes it,
Yeah.
whenever he nails it,
Nail the mix, Neil.
the thing that the problem, I like that idea. The problem I have now is that what Trump is doing that Bush never did. Bush, I don't want to hear a record about that stuff anymore. Trump has made politics so part of our daily lives and so horrendously
I think it has more to do with the media than
negative.
Trump.
Well, they have to report it. I mean,
They can also spin the reporting. Though.
I know, but they can't
agree.
not.
I lost my trust in mainstream media like 5
but they
years
can't
ago.
not
I don't pay attention
report.
to politics
There's
anymore. They can report wherever they
Yeah,
want.
I mean, I want to be. I'm pretty centrist.
we could
As
report
a
anything we
super
wanted
left,
right
not
now,
super
and people
right.
would
as
listen
a
to
guy that wants.
But no, I know what you're saying. So it's exhausting.
It's
been
exhausting, and
since
during the
election.
Trump, and I thought during Bush too, those years, I've always paid attention to news. I remember that being my complaint with Bush too, is that unlike Bill Clinton, who was doing devious stuff but keeping it kind of under the radar, Bush too was trying to make us all afraid and the war on terror and all that. And I didn't like the fact that he was taking the politics and kind of ruining our day-to-day lives with it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what the media has been doing for years.
But they have to have something to
but
use.
it has to originate from somewhere.
When Obama came into office, he had more of the let's keep things on the down low, put your head down. And I'm not saying everything he did was great. I'm saying that people did their jobs. There were less big problems in the
Well,
news,
and
and
you
so
know
you
what
got to go back to a relaxed
Well, even if there
feeling.
was big problems, he was a class act.
Yeah.
Whether you liked his politics or not. And
So-
again, you just said it. I didn't like everything he did either. But he was a class act.
Absolutely.
Always class act.
And he wasn't trying
fucking
to
presidential.
ruin your day with
Yes.
the news
That's
he was
right.
going to generate.
Well, why the fuck is our president on Twitter every day?
I don't know.
How is that even, like...
So the thing
Well,
is
you
now...
said it yourself.
He
We
just
all
shits
should be
out
on
fun.
Twitter every day. It's part of the world now. Twitter,
The
social
what?
media.
That we should all be on?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
say it all
it's
the time.
debatable.
Yeah, I mean, it is debatable.
He's the first president to do it,
But here's the difference, though. I'm trying to build a business, and you're trying to build a business.
and he's trying to build a brand. It's Donald Trump.
That's wrong. He's
I
the
don't
president of the
necessarily-
United
At the
States.
point when he becomes the president, that's not all right.
He's serving a country. It's a service. He's
And you can't serve on
Elected.
Twitter. Well, he's not really serving on Twitter.
No.
He's
no,
just ranting on
actually,
Twitter.
no. I mean, that's a good point. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on Twitter. It's not. It's not Twitter specific. It's what he's saying on Twitter. It shouldn't be 3 a.m.
He's using the
Why is
same
he-
phone
He's arguing.
he had before he was president.
Yes, that is true. And why is he? He's like debating with, like teenage pop stars, and like it's just so petty. And that's my point. He's a statesman.
I
He's
will
supposed to
say
be-
yes, there are, and this goes back kind of the Anthony Weiner thing. There are certain things you give up
Yeah.
to be a public figure.
That's
that
what I
you
was
no
trying
longer
to
get
say
to
about
do.
Weiner. That's why it shocked me.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying is with Donald Trump, you do not get to pick fights with Miss
America
with Miss
pageant,
America pageants or
fucking-
kids.
or Justin
You don't get to
Bieber,
be
like,
on
yeah,
Twitter
like-
ranting about stuff when you become the
Look
president,
at
just
all
like
the
they don't
stuff
let
he
you
said
drive a
about
car.
The NFL. It is crazy. I mean, it's like tweet after tweet after tweet. By the way, tweet is the dumbest word. But yeah, I don't know. Fuck Trump. Let's talk about something else. What else you got, Drew?
That's it, man.
That's it.
You got anything on your side?
There's a couple things.
Stephan, did you hear about Artery getting sold?
No.
Yeah, they
I'm
sold
talking about
to. Fuck, no, okay, look it up.
Is it
Please.
Artery Global? Is that
The record label, as far as I know.
Artery Records.
Artery?
Yeah, Artery sold to
Warner Music
Yeah,
acquires
Warner.
Artery Recordings.
Yeah, for an undisclosed amount of money.
What does that mean? Is it
Can
good?
you look that
is
up,
that a good
Drew?
amount of money or?
I would assume it means a lot of money.
Just type in Artery being sold or something.
This isn't.
Like that.
This isn't. I mean, it's a few weeks old now.
It
but,
is, but so
But yeah, Warner took over Artery.
I'm sure Revival's okay with us talking about this, but I was talking to Sean and Nick from Revival,
Uh-huh.
and Nick had mentioned to me that they had to get different distribution because of that.
Yeah.
So it's like it does affect a lot of people.
Yeah, I would
Oh,
like
yeah.
those bands.
Yeah, Chelsea Grin. There you go.
Chelsea Grin and Attila.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. It is weird.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
I don't know. It could either mean that Artery is going to be dissolved and they're not going to exist anymore. It could mean that Warner just now owns Artery. Maybe Artery's going to take it, or Warner's going to take it in a new direction. I'm not sure. Does it say anything in the article?
Nope. Says we don't know. Says we can't talk
I don't
about
know.
Yep. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it.
And of course, Warner Music will receive about 55 to 60% of royalties for every piece of content that is being monetized.
Oh, so it sounds
That's
like Artery still
likely-
maintains control.
That's
then.
likely behind the reason Artery sold to Warner, and it's probably not the last time you'll hear about an indie label selling to a
Ooh,
major.
there's Jake from. It's crazy. Jake from Chelsea Grin.
But he
Apparently
says,
they're not going to get the royalties.
yeah, no, it's
Oh,
no,
so
it's-
that's the
it's
problem.
fucked. No, it's fucked. He goes,
Wait, what's the
well,
problem?
The
Re-
label sold off the 55% of the royalties, so the bands are
Yes.
going to be getting a much smaller.
let me read it. So it's
That's
a streaming
crazy.
thing. Last week, we speculated the age of streaming music for free will eventually come to an end. A bullish report from Music Business Worldwide looks at a report from Goldman Sachs that finds global revenues for streaming will hit $28 billion by 2030, which is a 500% increase from what it is now. They'll probably lead to a lot more of the majors acquiring smaller labels, since streaming will continue to be a revenue generator. Goldman analysts suggested majors like Sony and Universal and of course Warner Music will receive about 55 to 60% of royalties for every piece of content that is being monetized.
I don't know, and I don't know how that works because the bands sign a contract.
I
How
don't
does
know,
the
I think
label
so.
get to sign a contract that just screws them over? I mean, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Jake, it's not cool.
Horan, I get Horan. Who's Horan? Is he President Shandan Horan? That's one hell of a name. He says to inform the alternative press, quote, to address the rumors, yes, Artery has sold to Warner. I can't disclose too much about the deal, but building up this company to 1 million record sales in just 5 years is a tremendous accomplishment for the fans, our artists, and the team. I'm humbled and appreciated each and every band I've ever had the honor of developing for Artery Records, blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I don't know.
I mean, I don't.
With,
Yeah.
the new, with new Slaves and Capture albums on the horizon, I'm sure the fans will be ecstatic.
Chris did that capture record.
Chris did the capture.
I worked on that capture record.
Did you now?
Yep.
Which will be released through Warner, apparently, Neil. Oh, wait, is that the one that took forever to release?
Yep.
Like a year ago or some shit?
Well, we've been working on it for a while. They wanted to make sure it was really good. So,
Wow.
yeah, I think
It's a new day,
yeah.
man.
It was, of course, Crummit's
It's crazy.
produced by Crummit, but I was fortunate enough to be in the room.
You're
do
in
some
the
work on it.
You're
yeah.
a flat. Yeah, you helped.
Yeah,
They put out a single from it.
yeah, I remember
With
that.
a lyric video, I think, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Not on Warner. That's just
Dude.
weird, man. Who knows? Maybe. Who knows what happened? I mean, I know. Sounds like my boy Jake from Chelsea Grin ain't too happy about it. So I'm guessing that the terms are not favorable to the bands.
We'll find out. Only time
That
will
is
tell.
an uninformed guess, but I never
Yeah.
heard about a band dude being upset about something that benefited him, nor
Yeah.
any other kind of dude being upset
Yep.
about something that benefited them.
What are you reading there, Andrew?
Just Chris Cornell's legacy honored in L.A. Chefs for Human Rights fundraising event.
Huh.
They cooking
What's it
food.
They're gonna throw some ashes in that fucking stew.
They cook up Cornell, huh?
We would all want a little of him inside of us.
Easy.
1,000
I'm
per
never gonna
bowl.
get used to Chris Cornell being gone.
Yeah, that's a weird
Especially
one,
the way
man.
that happened. That's pretty much
Yeah.
the worst thing ever.
No, you'll never know.
You said it best, Steph. You're like, What'd you say? You're like, I just never thought, how could you couldn't imagine someone like that dying.
Yeah, I didn't really. The other thing is he wasn't that old, and he was pretty healthy. And
yeah, especially the way
it seemed to me as though he had gotten over the hump.
Yeah.
You know, he had gotten over. He'd talk about like, oh, I was depressed, and there's ups and downs, but like, you know, you get to a point where you're like, you're good, and it seemed like he had gotten there.
Yeah.
We'll never know what it was, if it was medication or circumstances or what it was. We'll never know, really.
We'll never know.
Chester Bennington dying did the same thing.
That
for
one
me.
was weird.
That came
dude.
out of the blue for me.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a lot of like, look that shit up, Andrew, because there's a lot of people that are talking about. I mean, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist.
I think he was murdered.
I've heard it a lot lately that there's some weirdness behind it. I mean, you know, I tend to not go down that road. You know,
I mean, people always talk about weirdness behind everything.
yeah, exactly.
People still, think Tupac's alive. And,
depression is a real thing. Mental illness is totally
no,
real.
I struggle with it a lot, actually.
Yeah, I have historically too. It's just, it seemed weird. Even his own band was just like, what the fuck? But then there's enough data to, like, historically him talking about
Yeah.
a lot of, like,
Yeah.
tips and, not tips, but, like...
The thing with Chris Cornell is,
he
it's not like
I
I don't think Chris Cornell can kill himself, but like, you have to wonder the degree to which medication he was taking.
Yeah, what does that mean? He killed
There's a
himself.
whole epidemic of
That's
medication
what I mean.
that's supposed to cure things, actually making them worse in certain people. And there's just so much.
like painkillers.
And you mix different things.
Jesus,
Yeah.
nightmare.
So that that's the bummer, is that I think there's a legitimate chance that Chris Cornell was not suicidal biologically of his own choosing.
Yeah.
But it could have been the same for Chester. I haven't looked into it as much.
Well, they say he hung himself, right?
Yeah, is that right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, they definitely both killed themselves. I'm just saying, like, there's a difference between, like, people say, well, I was blacked out drunk. It's like, is that really something you did?
Yeah.
Is that really who you are? Like,
Right.
something you do? So if you're on some medication and it causes you to do crazy things that you wouldn't have done, is
And
that
it's
really
weird
you?
because when Cornell died, like, I mean, obviously we all knew how, like, influential he was, especially from you and you, Stephan, and you, Andrew. And I would imagine you too, Neil, but we're a little older. And, like, I just feel like I knew he was a huge influence for us on, like, a profound level. But then when he died, something just overwhelming ways like, oh, that's right. He's, like everything. He's, like, a huge center for a lot of stuff I love.
There aren't people. Yeah, there just aren't. There aren't that many people that have existed that are Chris Cornell.
No,
That's really what it is.
that's what it is.
And I'm
And it's one of the last of our time.
celebrities die, and sometimes that's the thing. But like Chris Cornell, only so many people are born with the capability to do what he was physically able to do,
Right.
let alone actually getting there.
Right.
He could have been the guy.
The Weekend Warrior.
He could have been a guy who was a weekend warrior, had the world's greatest voice, who you never heard of.
Never knew about.
So not only was he extremely talented,
Right place, right time.
but against all odds, he actually got to the point where everyone knew it.
I know.
And he fulfilled the promise of his gifts. And his gifts are not often parallel. Like a power vocalist, a rock power vocalist of that degree.
Yeah.
There aren't that many of them. And most of them aren't as good at the extreme edges of what they do as Chris Cornell was. He could sing lower and higher
Yeah.
than like anyone.
And don't forget, he was a really good guitar player too. And
He wrote most of the
songwriter.
cool
And,
songs. He was
my
just a
God.
creative dude. You just don't get many dudes like that have a gift like that really get to like share it to the degree that he did.
Yeah.
And not like everything he did was good. I'm not even
No.
a fan of all Soundgarden albums all the way
Of course not.
through.
His solo stuff is
Solo stuff
almost
is hit and miss, obviously. That doesn't really matter.
Timbaland album.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's not the point.
Right.
The point is like he had more in him to give than most people, and we all got to see it.
We all could see it.
And
And
there
the fact
just aren't that many
and
people
they were on
like that.
tour again when it happened.
Yeah.
Like they were Soundgarden was actively ruling the fucking world again.
Yep.
I mean, I remember, like, because yesterday I was watching all of their Instagram stories, like, for weeks and weeks of that tour, not just from the band, but like Dillinger Escape Plan was doing some dates with them, So I would see
Yeah.
Ben from Dillinger, the guitar player, his Instagram stories every day of him being on the side of the stage.
Yeah.
Being like, can't believe we're playing with fucking
Yeah,
Soundgarden.
a guy that I'm in a producer forum with is Kevin plays guitar in Dillinger, and he was in the forum like, guess we're going home.
Oh yeah, he's a producer. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
great.
produces bands. He's
he was
awesome.
on that Noise Creators podcast.
Yeah, we hung out
great.
with him when he was in town when Dillinger played Dante's, and like
he's killer.
he's a cool dude.
Really?
And he was on that tour,
Right.
and it was like
that's what I mean. Like it's not
it's real. It was a real thing.
because it's not like they were a huge band first in the 90s, early 2000s, and then they stopped, and we took this long break, and then he died. That would be sad enough.
But he came back.
They came back and some. Like they were just kicking ass.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I'm glad we got what we did. I mean, I got to see him in the Gorge in 2011. It was phenomenal.
Speaking of that, Stephan, you had posted something about Filter, that Filter tour that me and you saw.
That show, James.
God damn it. Speaking of
Did you watch that, Neil?
No.
real men playing real rock and roll, my God. There's nothing.
It's not that there
It's
aren't.
hard to imagine.
It's not that there aren't good
Of
shows
course,
still.
Of course, I don't want to be that.
I want to be that
guy.
crotchety old man, but I'm gonna.
I mean,
When I think when a lot of people saw music shows
Tell
when they were
Tell 'em.
younger, they were like, "I loved it. I went and saw so and so, and I loved it." If you recall the earlier conversation we were having about what dicks we were, and specifically what a dick I was. I was not that kid. When a band put out an album, if the songs were not good or the sound was not good, I would shit all over it.
oh yeah, all over it.
Literally? Would you take shits on?
No, you just fucking.
I was a dick. It wasn't. I wouldn't like some show
Yeah, there you go.
just
dude.
because I liked the band. Like, I wouldn't have gone to some show that sounded horrible where the band played bad and come home like, you guys, it was great. I loved it. I was not that way ever.
Right.
If
Well,
I
the
saw
people
a
that do
show,
that don't really pay attention to it, though.
if
Like-
I
like
saw
you
a
do.
show when I was 13 years old and I'm telling you that it ruled, it actually ruled not for nostalgic reasons. It ruled and would still rule just as hard as I'm telling you. And Filter at the Roseland for 2 nights in what must like March-ish, April, March of 2000 was an unbelievably incredible show.
Unbelievably.
Like, the sound was ridiculous.
The
The
fucking
performance was
the
insane.
bass player and that wall of
The wall of things. The drummer was just slaying. The sound was phenomenal. It was just the greatest thing. It was so incredible that I bought tickets to see the show the next night because I just had to see it again.
Just to
And
make
that's the
sure.
one James saw.
And it was
Technically,
just
the
the
first night-
Roseland.
Technically, the first night was a little better than the second night. Just in that little, it was better just because there was just a little more attitude.
Yeah.
But there wasn't actually really any difference in the sound or the performance. It was still just insane. It wasn't like they lost the settings from
And it
the
was just
previous
the
night's show.
fucking commanding presence that especially he had.
Yeah, Richard Patrick,
Richard Patrick.
flew out on stage.
Like fucking red leather pants.
and aviator
Is this
glasses.
a
Look at that.
Is this
Look
video
at this
from
video.
it?
It's a video from the same tour.
Same
Oh.
tour. It's not the show.
Oh, this is a different one from the post.
but
And it was
I mean-
just...
keep playing that, Andrew.
I've told people this since I was like a kid, and I could never find videos that even remotely told the story. But I found one that was close-ish. I mean, at least kind of got the idea across. When they played the song Jurassital, which is on Crow, the City of Angels soundtrack.
Yeah, that's right.
When they played that song live at that show, this is what I put in the post, and it's been telling the story since then. The ending was so insane with the lights and the sound, and they extended it and they doubled up everything, and they just kept going and getting
kept
harder
fucking
and more powerful. I imagined the Roseland collapsing and pulling myself out of the rubble. I had a mental image of it that I can still see while it was going on, because I was literally being assaulted and surrounded and destroyed by this just unbelievably heavy,
Dude.
over the top, immersive you just thought it was too much.
And it's hard to explain because there's a lot.
I didn't think I was going to survive
They
it.
don't think of Filter that way. They've heard
Take a picture.
or like maybe Hey Man Nice Shot, and they're like, oh, was that one song? Like they don't know how fucking powerful the band that was.
Yeah, on their best night. I'm not going to say they were probably the best ever.
But that window of time in that band's timeline was just so crazy.
Power. It was. I seriously
Pure
didn't.
power.
I just
That's the
remember
word,
not thinking
power.
I was going to survive it physically, and I don't understand. Like, it's just. I just remember thinking like, oh my, if this keeps going on, like, I don't think it's gonna. Like, it's not gonna. I don't know. It was like if this earthquake keeps going, it was all
Andrew,
gonna.
this TV doesn't have audio, does it?
It's going to go through the mixer.
Okay.
From the laptop.
That's cool. Next time we'll get some audio.
The ending of that, and again,
Definitely.
it's there's things about it that it's not the exact performance, but it's essentially it gives you an idea.
Yeah, it's the era.
It's got the light show, and it's the same tour, and it's the song, and it's the way they played it. I mean,
so fucking good.
bands, yeah, it's there's not a lot of there's still good shows happening, but
Of course.
and it's not like that was necessarily the greatest show I ever saw. I mean, that might have been Nine Inch Nails on the Fragile
Yeah, I was just
tour.
going to ask you that.
You
That
know,
would be, I mean,
2000. I was lucky enough to see that. And
there's some early Tool shows I saw that were great.
Tool at the Memorial Coliseum in 1998.
Memorial Coliseum.
Maybe a handful of any of the early Shiner stuff we saw.
Yeah.
The
what
Oddfellows,
else?
where they played
well,
a
They
bunch of
didn't
stuff
have
off the
and
egg.
they didn't have like the budgets,
Hold on.
obviously, for the light shows and the huge venues.
But it was
yes.
just pure power.
But it was
Hold
pure
on.
power.
Andrew, what was the best show we've ever seen?
Oh, you know it. What was it? December 10th, 1998?
Snapcase, Quicksand,
Don't talk about it.
Deftones.
Don't
La
talk-
Luna.
Legend.
Don't talk about it.
You ask any of my homeboys,
Don't talk about it.
one of the best shows I've ever seen.
One of the best shows I ever got grounded into not being able to see the day of
It's
the show
just
and
the
sold my
worst.
ticket to
Oh,
Brandon Solar.
God damn it.
Brandon
Fuck,
Solar
God
thanks me
damn it.
every time I see him, which is once every 7 years. He will thank. I've not seen Brandon Solar in probably 7 years.
He'll thank you again.
But if I run into him sometime, and I don't even know where he
Thank you so
lives,
much, Stephan.
he will thank me for selling him a ticket to the greatest show he ever saw in his life,
Dude, it was
knowing that I didn't get to see it.
Okay, so you know the Foo Fighters show we saw, which I include as one of my
At
favorite
Salem
shows.
Armory.
At Salem Armory
With
when we
Ween
were
and Jawbreaker.
how old?
It was April of
13,
96.
7th grade.
We were in 7th grade.
That that wasn't one of the best shows, but it felt like it. Like it felt like what a rock show was supposed to be.
Oh, and it was really good. I mean,
was
Salem
really,
Armory
really
is a
good.
great venue. I saw Radiohead there on the OK Computer Tour with Mr. Christopher Crummett and his father Bob Crummett
Good lord.
and Chris Newton. And I was
Couple of
okay into
dorks.
Radiohead.
Couple of nerds.
I was okay into Radiohead, but I wasn't like huge Radiohead guy.
Right.
And I saw that show at the
look at that.
at the Salem Armory.
Look at
It
that.
was so good. Oh my god, that's it.
That's the flyer that I didn't get to go see.
So good.
I got to print that shit out.
But yeah, that was another one of those shows
Put
where
that
like
shit up, man. We'll put it up on the. We'll do something.
the Salem
Yeah.
Armory
Make a
is a
shirt out of
killer
it.
venue, dude. The Salem Armory is a killer rock venue. I wish more shows were at the Salem Armory.
I
know.
saw Static X at the Salem Armory.
Well, wait,
It's
what
my
happened
only
to the Salem
experience.
Armory?
It's still a venue.
Do they still do shows
I
there?
saw Alice in Chains there a few years ago, and for the first
Oh, really?
first 3 songs, it was on pace to be one of the greatest shows. It was beyond belief. My brother will tell you he was there.
Yeah,
my dad,
I was not there.
Austin was there.
The new Alice, obviously, the one a couple years ago. You said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But like, it was it. They had it. It was the stadium. It was the power. And then his amp broke 3 songs in.
No.
And it's gonna sound crazy, but the show was so perfect. They pushed it all to the edge of insanity.
Right.
And without his primary amp, his secondary amp couldn't do what was happening before.
Right.
And noticeably, in a very serious, not musician way, made it just a good show.
Right.
Because it couldn't,
It affected
the backup guitar amp couldn't compete. It's like taking an ingredient out of the perfect recipe and going, it tastes the same. It's
Dude,
like,
there's something
it
about
doesn't.
that venue. Remember when Dave Grohl said that? And I believed him that night. Because you know how you think a lot of
Yeah,
bands
yeah.
will say, like, this is like one of the best shows we've ever played. You know, they say that
Yeah.
shit and you're like, yeah, right. You say that every fucking night. I believed him that night. Maybe it was because I was in 7th grade.
No, they killed it.
But, yeah. I remember he said something almost verbatim what I
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Like, this is what I pictured when I was growing up.
I'm sure he remembers
This
that
is
show.
what I thought a rock show was supposed to look
I'm
like.
absolutely sure he remembers it.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely sure he remembers it.
Dude, it's great. Oh, Andrew, speaking of the Deftones Snapcase Quicksand show,
Yo.
me and Larry Carlson met Chino once at a Crosses show, or a Team Sleep show.
All right.
And anyway, so we're standing outside smoking a joint with Chino from Deftones, and we brought that show up, the Deftones.
Oh,
Quicksand
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah. We're like, you have to know that was like one of the best shows of all time. He's like, oh yeah, that tour was not only was that like our favorite tour, but I remember that show.
Yeah, I think he
was
said that, like,
yeah,
in
we
an
carried you
interview,
across
too.
the crowd. He's like, and he finished my sentence, to the bar.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he remembered it. And,
Of course, they're human beings.
Yeah, they're human beings.
You remember those moments.
but it is weird to think because they do this every fucking night for the past
Yeah.
3 million
They're
years.
not all
and,
that
like,
night. Every night on that filter tour wasn't the night the
damn.
night that we saw in Portland
Right.
at the Roseland. Not every night, not every night's those nights. There are differences, and I think they do remember.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do know.
Just that fucking venue, La
Dave
Luna.
Grohl
Just that
remembers.
Like
remembers
chain
that
link
shit.
fence in the upstairs, like or the
Yeah.
balcony.
Oh.
Looked like Wayne's World or some shit.
Yeah, it was. That's right, Wayne's World. I know exactly what you mean by that reference.
You and I were 12. You know that. Because it was in April
At
of
Foo
'96.
Fighters?
So at the Foo Fighters show,
We were
you and I were
children.
almost 13 years old.
Small
At the
dick little
front,
At the front with your dad.
my
fucking
dad protecting us with his
us.
arms.
Fighting
like
off
this.
people, like elbowing people.
We were
like,
dead. We were in the center, in the front.
And that was
up to
back
the
when people like crowd
cage,
surfed.
yeah, it was
Real-
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before they started putting.
And it was me,
Yeah.
you, Cody, and Josh.
That's right, Tegner, Cody Tegner.
And he was able to put his arms to the gate
And protect.
and have
four
all of us
children.
within his arms for the whole show.
Until we all gave up and
And
bailed.
then eventually, in the middle of Foo Fighters,
We're like, fuck
it became
this.
too much. We were getting pummeled with people. We were 12 years old. My dad was
Very
like
swell.
getting in fights with these crazy bitches
Yeah,
in
remember
the
the girl?
audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like eventually, we literally couldn't physically. We'd been
couldn't
standing.
do
We've been
it.
doing it for hours. And in the middle end of the Foo Fighters set, we went up to seats
Yeah.
because it was like I can't. Like we're
can't-
getting
we're gonna die.
destroyed.
We're going to die.
Getting destroyed here. That's not a thing anymore. Whatever that experience that we had, I don't think people are having that experience. I don't
mean,
think
I
that's
don't
the
know.
world we live in.
I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I don't know. It's just different.
Were there any 12-year-old kids when we saw Royal Blood at the Wonder?
Sure wasn't.
Because that would have been
Not a
that
one.
story.
Yeah.
If you were 12 and you saw what we saw at the Wonder when Royal Blood played, that would have been that story.
Yeah, it's that same kind of power.
But there were no 12-year-olds there.
Yeah.
I didn't see any 12-year-olds.
No, a lot of guys like me and you.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, and that wasn't even a 21 and over, so that wouldn't be why. It was an all ages show, right?
I didn't see no 12-year-olds.
You know, no 12-year-olds.
There was no James Allen Hawks protecting 12-year-olds
Right.
while
I'll
Royal
Tell you
Blood
what, though, Anthony Weiner would have
decimated.
found one.
honestly, that's why there's no 12-year-olds there. And they're too busy DMing.
And
Sliding into
the
their
fact
DM.
that his last name was Wiener
It's rough.
is so rough. That is so crazy. He can't control his wiener.
He can't
and
help
his last
it.
name's Wiener.
You can't help it.
Subliminally hammered into his brain from
There's no hope.
childbirth.
Yeah, there's no hope.
Nope.
People are terrible.
It's not even his fault.
My last name was Jackoff. I'd likely have a jack-off problem.
Huh?
I would jack off all day.
So your last name's Jackoff then.
But
But hang on.
no, that's your brother who has the world. Well,
Hey, Andrew, do you
Hillsborough
fly
record
planes
of
with
jacking
nothing
off
but
in one day.
carry-ons, or do you check bags?
never heard that joke. Boom. Hey, do you like right angles or trying to do an angle joke?
That's
Yeah.
not spelled
Oh,
the same.
Jesus.
Fucked it up.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Ah, there, I beat you to it.
So you got nothing with mine. There's no.
The MacMillan at McDonald's. You heard about this? The new
No.
MacMillan?
No. What's that?
I don't know. Stephan's got a better one, probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
tough. That was terrible.
I got nothing. It's
Well, at
proud.
least I threw out
It's
one.
a proud last name. How dare you?
Yes.
It's a proud. Have you seen the crest?
Yes, it's a
Have you
crest.
seen the Macmillan
It is
family
weird
crest?
to have a name with a crest.
I grew up hanging out and eating cereal at a house with the Macmillan crest visibly on display.
Oh, you guys were sporting it, too?
Yeah, it was on the wall next to
on-
the family
As soon
pictures.
as you walk in my front door,
It's
there's
right
a
in the
crest.
front
As soon as you
door,
walk in my
straight
dad's
up.
house.
Well, like, I'm half Irish, but we weren't sporting the
Bro-
crest.
bro-
My
let's
birth
go.
name?
You ought to get a crest.
I don't think either of you know this. My actual birth last name, O'Sullivan.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I
That's
told
pretty
you.
Irish, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the crest, I mean...
Well, as we wrap this here, show up, Stephan, I want to ask you a couple more things.
Yeah.
So
To take me out?
yeah, to
To start the show?
Well, first of all, what are some current projects you're working on?
Well,
Like, what's the last there's
there's some
handful of months.
things.
Like, what's-
There's some things coming out.
AC, go to Stephan's Facebook. He usually posts things.
Oh yeah. So all right, what's happening here? I'm terrible at.
Icarus. just
Yeah, well, I'm
happened.
terrible at keeping some of this stuff straight.
No, I know,
Let me
that's
see what.
why.
Let me see what I can. Well, let's see what I can do here. New Icarus the Owl album is coming out December 1st, I think, on Blue Swan
And
Records.
you produced, mixed, mastered?
I produced, mixed, and mastered it.
Nice. How long did that take you?
Well,
Is that a full length?
It's full length.
Kick ass.
It's a
man.
very long and windy story.
Can't wait.
Um,
Look at that.
Andrew just
I
brought
sent
up
that to a guy
picture
for
of
his
Stephan.
birthday. Because that's a face that I make sometimes. I put my thumbs up and I go,
Yeah, you like that one.
well, it's those guys are the reason. They're the ones that took the original picture of me doing it.
I see.
Is
I
that
see,
those
I see.
dudes in the band Velaros, which that's actually something I've got coming up.
Okay, so Icarus. Yeah.
Okay, so what's going on here? Icarus album comes out December 1st. It's great. It's a ridiculous album. Anybody who's a fan of that band knows that they're always doing crazy things, and this album is no exception. Very, very deep. She goes real deep. This is not a cookie cutter one side. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot into it, even for them. The albums are generally pretty deep, but this one definitely, like, when I wrote on the Facebook that we mined the depths. That's an inside joke to me with me and the band, but like, which is all that we really have anymore.
I
is
like
inside
that
jokes. But like, we really did. There's not, I mean, it came down to the end of the record with the drummer standing behind me and me giving him options on exactly the way the snare was going to be. Like, the snare sounded 99% good, and he came over so we could get it exactly the way he wanted. You know what I mean by
Yeah.
this
right.
is you can't dial her in anymore. The band is as happier than they've ever been with any of the albums we've done, which are many.
Is Transmissions like the
Failed Transmissions? Yeah, that's the first song.
That's feel. Is that gonna be like a single or just?
Yeah, it's like
lyric
the
video?
first song. I don't think it's. I mean, I think they might have a video or
You
something
said
for
this
one of
was
the other ones.
Blue Swan.
Yeah,
That's
Will Swan
Mike's
from-
done a few things off Blue Swan.
yeah. Will Swan from Dance Gavin Dance's label.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, was a Marionette on there?
They're not on there.
Oh, okay.
However,
I don't know what I'm thinking. Yes, maybe.
A Marionette. I just mixed
Dude, that song, that
modern
Jesus.
disco song. Yeah,
What a
baby.
departure! And it's so good though.
Well, I know it's great. Yeah.
Fuck,
We were talking about it
Dance
the other day.
track,
Yeah.
2017.
So the drummer's gonna be here on Thursday.
Is that what the rest of the records are gonna be like, Steph?
Most of it, okay. If we're being completely honest, I'm mixing another song tomorrow.
Fuck yes.
That's what I'm doing tomorrow when I get into work,
Fuck yes.
and it is stuck in my head, extremely dancey,
Excellent.
Fuck yeah, man.
along the
Good for
lines of
them.
modern disco.
I think it was really cool today. Look at that picture of me and you, Stephan.
We are
Oh,
looking
oh,
great.
boy.
There it is.
Keep
in
it up
case
for
you
a
didn't
second,
believe
Drew.
it.
Hold on, I want to take a picture of that. Go ahead.
And that's January of '99.
How the fuck are you
what is
so
wrong
good at
with
these
you?
dates?
Well, I know because I know what that flyer was for the show.
But you know the.
If you want to know why I know, is because there was a videotape that said January 22nd, 1999.
But I'm talking about all the things you were talking about.
I just
today.
remember everything that way. That's just the way my brain works.
Weird.
I can get you
Anyway.
within a month of just about anything. I was also very sober through all of it, so I remember the things that nobody else remembers.
I was very not.
Yeah, not everybody was all
I
with
was
it, and I
very
got the
not.
memory to go. But anyway, yeah. So I'm mixing another. You notice how happy he is there.
Yeah.
See, those are that right there. That's what you live for.
Fire.
That was when I mixed the modern disco,
Oh, cool.
and he said he's never been more happy. If you scroll up a little, I don't think I've ever been more proud of a song I've written.
Is that the guitar? Or who
Yeah,
is
it's
that?
Nick, the guitar player.
Cool.
That's what it is. That's the whole point. Is that if somebody
Right.
doesn't write
Yeah.
that, then
Right.
you might still need to be working on it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, sometimes
Back to the earlier conversation.
people
That's
are
the
happy
fucking
with stuff,
difference.
but
like that.
sometimes they don't realize they could be more happy.
Exactly.
You know, they don't. Sometimes bands will be like, "We're good," and I'm like, "Hold off now."
That's Neil's whole bag. Like
Stretch
Neil
goals.
just gets in the goddamn trenches with bands.
Yeah.
You're talking about doing
just-
that back to back to back.
Yeah.
Kill him with commitment and kindness.
Yeah.
Like
You have to.
there's nothing you can
Yeah.
say at the end of it.
And then also, okay, so this is, geez, you're helping me out here. There's a lot of things going on. So the new audio sequence album,
Huge fan of that band. They're a Portland band.
they were just in yesterday.
It's audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were just in yesterday, and we basically tightened down a few tiny, and we're talking like ridiculous minute details. I mean, it's, you know, their new album is almost done. I mean, there's literally a couple little tweaks and stuff for my own shits and giggles, but they're super stoked. And that song we did last month, or finished it, the new version will sound a little better, I'm sure, than that. But I'm really happy with even that.
How many songs?
Sounds great. I think it's 9 or something.
Nice.
But it's an album. It's really, really good. Kind of dance, mood, rock, pop, super
Cool.
ridiculous guitar tones.
Very cool.
So that's coming, and I don't know when that's coming out, but it's basically done, and I've been finishing that up as of late. There's so many things. You really got time for this?
well, then there's another one that Andrew may have not seen, but there's one called The Dear Enemy EP drops today. That was on September 15th. Recorded
yeah. I
live
mean, this
with
is
Stephan
I can't even.
back in
Okay, so
December.
yeah, so this and that thing is ridiculous. Maximum Mad.
Good to Die Records.
Yeah, they're on the same label as Gaytheist, and they came in.
Dig that band.
And
too,
they
by the way.
did what Gaytheist
Such a great
does, where they record live basically and do it all like in a day.
Right.
They come in, you set up, you get the good tones,
Fun
and then you
as
just
shit,
let
I
them
bet.
rip.
Right. Is that fun?
I love it. Again, that's the changing it up.
Do you love that,
I
Neil?
like super polished records.
Do you like doing that, Neil? Live?
I've actually never tried.
Yeah,
that.
it's the same. Yeah, I haven't done
It
a
seems
ton.
like it'd either be an absolute nightmare or you just
I would,
capture lightning.
I would
It's
enjoy it. It
great.
just so happens that the kind of bands that I
Yeah.
tend to work with, that would be a nightmare for. It would not appease their style.
I've done a handful of bands like that, and I hadn't really done any like that until Gaytheist approached me about doing it.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, Goddamn Animals album is,
Goddamn
is
Animals.
ridiculous.
Killer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. They need to come
They did
back.
a run of vinyl too on it, which I still haven't heard of vinyl. I wonder what that.
It's gonna sound good because I made an alternate vinyl master.
Oh,
for
did
it.
you?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Don't get too dorky.
Oh, it's just less pushed and more. And it's 24-bit, and it's just higher resolution and less extreme.
Awesome.
It'll sound more relaxed.
Awesome.
That's at the Soundgarden show in 2011 at the Gorge.
Oh, with Austin. I love that video.
What else do I got going on? Okay, hold on. So,
What Well, let me interrupt you. What about Shelter Red? What's going on with you guys?
Yes, the
Shelter Red is Stephan's band with Austin Crook, a two-piece mathy rock.
Well, now we got
band.
3 pieces.
Well, that's true. Sorry,
But yeah,
that's
but
right.
is the two of us
Now
for a
you have a
long,
drummer.
long time, and now we got a drummer, Brian, who's great.
And oddly enough, I used to be in the band. at
James
one
was
point.
the founding one
That's
of
true.
the
I was
founding
one of the founding
members of the band. Way old back in May or June of 2001, just pre 9/11
crazy.
band.
Yeah, I remember doing the demos that we did, and then I went to Europe.
And you went to Europe.
That's how old that is.
Yeah, we did some demos in July of
Pre-9/11.
2001, and then James went away
Fuck's sake.
for all of August, and then Austin and I started working on songs, and then you came back and 9/11 happened, and the world sucked ever since.
Yep. But anyway, yeah. So what's going on?
We have a couple new songs done, which is not impressive given that we put out an album 4 years ago. There I am rocking.
Look at that shit. So good to see you play guitar again.
Oh,
Steph.
fuck
my
yeah,
God.
man.
So we have a couple songs
Right, Drew?
done.
Yep.
We have a couple songs done,
Ain't
and
no
they
one's
are
gonna
really,
screw it up.
really over the top.
Fuck yeah, man.
And I need to. We've been debating whether or not to record the 2 songs now or to try and get some more going. And
you'll always produce that shit, right? I mean, that'd be.
yeah, I mean,
Are you open to it? Is that something you would ever do?
well, I don't. Jason Livermore mixed the first 2. He mastered the first EP that
Yeah.
you were on,
Right.
and then he mixed, and basically mixed and mastered the next 2 albums. I kind of
Huge fan of
co-mastered.
that guy.
He's great. He's the dudeliest dude
How
that
old
ever
is
lived.
Livermore?
I don't know. He's like mid-40s,
Okay, cool. Anyway,
something.
rad guy.
He's the best. He's the king of all kings. And then the last one I mixed and he just mastered. I'm up in the air about exactly what I'm going to do, but I know that these new songs are crazy.
Awesome.
And that I want to put them out soonish. And people don't. I'm a little torn because I don't know if people. We don't write fast enough to really wait for an album. If I'm being realistic,
I don't think you should.
We just don't write
What's
fast
the
enough
point?
for it to be the case. I know people.
What's
Dude,
the point?
Joey's got another Icarus the Owl album waiting already.
Dude, just
people
shit
know.
out.
People
Who
write
cares?
music,
Who cares?
and they write it fast. We
it
don't
out.
write it fast.
Joey's nuts at writing music.
Dude, put it on
Easily, yeah.
YouTube. Who gives a fuck? Just put them out.
Yeah. So I think
Run it through Marmoset, Rumblefish.
I got to
maybe
figure
get
out.
picked
So I
up.
think what we're gonna do. I think we got to get Brian out here to track the drums, and then I think I'm gonna go to Colorado and do it with Jason
Cool.
because that's more fun for me than killing myself to do it myself.
Yeah.
Again, I'd rather spend the money having a professional do it. When you do your own band, you're not as much of a professional as you usually are.
I would never do my own band.
It's very, very hard to mix.
Never
It's
do.
not hard to
It's really
track.
important to say.
It's not hard
I'm
to
glad
track
two
your own.
producers in the room are admitting that.
Yeah.
It's not
Never
hard
do
to
it.
track your own band.
Jesus, man.
I'm always good with the tracking.
Fuck.
But mixing your own band, even when it's what you do for a living day in, day out, it's
I know.
for me, it's monetarily a terrible idea. Because I will spend months and months and months doing it
And we'll
when I
never
could
be
have
good
just
enough.
I mean, I have this
And it'll never be good
conversation
enough. I did
3
eventually
times a
get it.
week with bands.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get it. It's your
Yeah,
baby.
I agree with Stephan. Like the tracking, if you know what you're doing, you can get it done.
Sure.
But
And well.
yeah, but the
Mixing,
and
finishing
yeah.
it, committing
It's
to it, being done
impossible.
with it, it's impossible.
Completely.
So yeah, I'll probably go out there to have like a doodly recording bro vacation
Fun.
/ get the record done.
Fun.
And there's a chance we might do that soon. I've just been debating whether or not I would like to have more songs than 2,
Sure.
even if that was just 3.
Well, if you're gonna travel, yeah. Sure.
But at this point,
Yeah.
I don't know. I may just have to go with the 2 songs. But I would like a 3rd song, but realistically, if I don't get a 3rd song, like if I don't get some spark for the 3rd song in the next
And there's-
couple weeks, I should
there's
probably just
no-
cut my losses.
There's no pursuit of ever getting vocals anymore at this point.
No.
don't-
I mean, if
Why?
well, we.
I mean, if it happened, like
yeah. I'm not close to the idea. And
But you're
I'm
not looking for a lead singer.
no, not really for the band. I mean, if there was like a thing where we got vocalists that we love to do vocals over,
You've
it
held
Yeah,
would be
fun
auditions
as
several
shit.
times.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, like a, like the Dillinger EP with
Yeah.
Mike Patton. Some
Like if we could
random
get Alan Epley to
fun-
sing over a
Oh, it'd
song
be
and get the
fucking
dude
great.
from Houston wherever he is
Yeah,
to
yeah,
sing
yeah,
over a
totally.
song and
You just do what these DJs do. They
The
just
Train Dodge
they
guy.
write the music.
yeah,
and they
the
just have
train
big
dodge
pop
guy to sing over a
stars
song.
sing.
If we did something like that, I'd be into it. We don't write enough songs for that to ever be a deal. 3 songs takes up years, and so you're like, so you're just gonna have these 3 songs and then put out a vocal EP and confuse everyone,
Yeah.
and then you got nothing for the next 3 years. So it's tough. But
Yeah.
but yeah, Marionette drummer gets here on Thursday.
Gotcha.
We're doing drums for the rest of their album, which is also all
Full
very
length,
very
right?
good. Yeah,
Cool. And Mikey's helping with that?
yeah.
Cool.
And then
He's known those guys for years.
yeah, the Maximum Mad EP just came out. They got signed to Good to Die Records exactly how Gaithias did. Gaithias came to me in 2012 and were like, "We want to do this live," and I said, "Oh, okay, we could do that." And then they were like, "And our goal with this is to get signed to Good to Die Records." I said, "Cool." And the record came out really good, and they got signed to Good to Die Records. And basically,
They're-
the same thing happened with Maximum Mad. They like came to me wanting to basically be label mates with Gaithias.
Yeah.
That's a Northwest label. They're
And it-
Seattle.
Yeah, Nick.
I don't think I knew.
Yeah, Nick up there. And the Maximum Mad EP sounds crazy.
Nice.
I mean, it sounds real 90s. Like the good.
Really?
It's like a cross between like it's got some like Albini Failure Comfort Albini sound in it
Uh-huh.
and some In Utero vibes.
Fuck yeah.
But it's also got some Houdini by the Melvins vibes.
Yeah, a little departure for me. I've never been a huge Melvins
Oh
guy.
man, you would
Everyone's
love
gonna kill me
the
for
sound of
saying
Houdini by the Melvins. I'm just talking like sound wise
Oh,
and
sonically.
music wise,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and sonically. But it sounds really great. It sounds really, really ridiculous. It just sounds disgusting, but still really, really good. That was one of those deals when we were talking about the having to be good and cool.
that. Yeah.
This would qualify as that. It sounds very, very good, but it's not polite. It's
And then we would totally drop the ball if we didn't mention the Without.
yeah. I mean, I was just saying,
It's
how
a-
long do you
you've
want to
got-
do this?
you've got a big year.
How long do you want to do this for? Yeah, I mean, the Without, I think are going to come back. That band is phenomenal. Everyone who hears them loves them.
Yep.
I think at this point it really just has to do with as long as they can get it in enough people's ears.
Yep.
Sky's the limit.
Agreed.
I mean, just ridiculously talented dudes. Had an unbelievable time making that thing with them, and cannot
You've done
wait to do
you've
another
done a
one.
lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah. Trying to think what else. Oh, and then Visitors is an album that I did a little while ago. They put out an EP, the first part of the project. They're putting it out in 2 parts, and that's like that is as close to an exotic animal petting zoo scale effort that I have had the pleasure of doing in a while. I mean, and I knew when we did that record it was going to be one of those ones that you know it's going to require a lot, because it's just like certain bands are only going for these things, you know, and other bands are trying to do 8 billion things, and you've got to accomplish them all simultaneously. And this is definitely in that Tree of Tongues type of record of insanity.
fuck yeah, man.
And so their EP from the new Visitors EP is out, which will give you an idea of what the band's about. But then there's an album that is also going to be coming out.
Cool.
And if you like Circus Survive or, I don't know, Deftones,
Yeah. You were talking about that with
you
me.
know, if you like Exotic Animal Petting Zoo, if you
gotta
like
check that shit out, man.
crazy just musicianship, but musicality, but textures and layers and moods, it is an undertaking. It's the closest thing I've done to another exotic record since I did Tree of Tongues. It's insane.
Awesome.
I mean, it's a real whirlwind of insanity. There it is. And that'll be coming out soon-ish. And
now here's a big question for you,
Mm-hmm.
Stephan. I don't mean like, you know, it's an impossible question, or it's a possible question to answer effectively, but out of all the stuff you've done,
Mm-hmm.
is there something that just has always stood out for you? Is it exotic?
yeah,
That's like,
but there's.
I mean, it's the one that I always. I
again-
texted you like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
Jesus
it's
Christ.
crazy. I remember when we listened to it when we were going to Joe's wedding or whatever in the car. It was just like, this is great.
Exotic Animal Petting Zoo, Tree of Tongues.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just.
yeah. And there's
And why? Like, other than the experience,
it's just
and
the
your friendship.
insanity of it. I mean, it's the thing. It's just the insanity of it. I don't know. Every record has a different set of objectives. Imagine it like you're in the Olympics, and you have a routine that can only get so many points, and you do it perfectly.
Yeah.
That's what records are. Exotic Animal Petting Zoo Tree of Tongues is maximum level of difficulty, and if we're being honest,
Right.
I didn't in my mind, I could have stuck the landing even more perfect. There's always
Right.
things about
I love
it.
that analogy. It's like maximum difficulty plus performance.
So if
plus
it's 3
time,
guys
plus-
playing mid-tempo rock music with a kick drum and 1 floor tom, and they're just trying to do something for like the weekend, like you can nail it 100%, but it's 100% out of 6. So you only can get a 6.
Gotcha.
With a band like Exotic Animal Petting Zoo, the degree of difficulty is higher, but the potential reward is just higher. And every band kind of falls in a different category with that. So it's not that I try harder or I care more about that, and I only care, and I don't even bother getting up in the morning for
Yeah.
anything less than an exotic. That's not it.
Right.
It's that, you know, it's the difference between like, well, all I got to do is like a cartwheel and land it, and that's my routine, versus like, get ready for this. It demands more out of me. It requires more to complete. So when I listen to it, I hear more accomplishment
Yeah.
because there's more that I could have done. It's like, yeah, it's not because I don't care about. I am crazy sentimental about a lot of records I've done. One record that I did. There's 2, but one in particular that I've
Every
done.
record you ever do, I've known you to be in love with. Honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do, yeah. Like Ugly Colors, Perfect As We Are.
Yeah.
That's an album I did way back.
Yeah.
Didn't get national attention. Was on Media Scare's sub label. But, you know, they didn't stick around for that long, and those dudes are all still around. Emotional. I mean, it's like I listen to it, and I'm just like, it's like an emotional deal. No, it was not as hard to make as an Exotic Animal Petting Zoo record. But I didn't have anything else to give it. And I I don't listen to it and think I should have done anything differently or better.
No.
It is exactly the way it was supposed to be, and people have like an emotional connection with that record. It's emo, it's emo pop stuff, but I'm telling you, I'm not the biggest fan of emo music.
No.
I get tears well up in my eyes when I listen to it, and a lot of people have that reaction to it.
Right.
It's not just because I was involved in making it. It's like, so
because it's important to know, like, you have to have that objective, bird's eye view of yourself. So
Brittany, same thing. She loves it. She loves that record, and she does like music like that, like Brand New and stuff like that. It's kind of got a little of that in there.
Hearts and Hands, forgot about that.
Oh,
yeah, look at, Steph.
Yeah,
what's the website?
I need to update this, by the way. This
Andrew,
is
what's
so out of
Stephan's
date.
website?
It's Interlace Audio /engineers/Stephan Hawks.
Yeah, you can just go to interlaceaudio.com and then go to my page, and I need to there's a bunch of new things.
Click
I need to put up there.
engineers.
I'm lazy about that. I've got almost none of the records we've even talked about or even on
the
there.
Wild.
But yeah, so I guess the point is
the
that
Days and Nights. There you go.
Yeah.
By
Even-
the way, that's a good sounding fucking record you did too.
oh no, it sounds
Riding
ridiculous.
Sabbatical, it really was great.
And then I'm also
I still wish that you had done the entire thing. I think me and Nate, like, it had to have happened that way for whatever reason.
sure.
But like, I just
no,
great.
the other what I was gonna say
I'm
too about
happy
stuff
with
that
it.
I'm
It's not
working
bad.
on now is that I'm working that band Lightning Rules that I played drums for and produced their record recently. He had never heard the Days and Nights. Wes from Lightning Rules,
Whoa.
the band that practices downstairs.
Yeah.
He's not from here. He's not from Portland.
Well, he heard his practice.
Well, he wasn't around.
Oh, okay.
He didn't know
the context.
He didn't know the deal,
Right.
And he was just
Look at
like,
the shit you did.
I listened. He was like, I listened to Radical Sabbatical. He's like, that is just something. I mean,
You did Closure in Moscow?
I mastered it. Little known.
Who produced that?
Chris
Crummett. Yeah.
Well, okay.
I tell the story.
I just saw it on
By
there.
mastered it, I mean
Awesome.
he was up against a deadline. I strolled in from the bar at 2 a.m. to the studio because we were all out partying.
Yeah.
I walked in like a cocky dickhead into his room. I said, what are you talking about? This stuff sounds great. All you got to do is do this, this, and this, and this with the mastering rig. And then with just sheer cockiness and objectivity, dialed in our shared mastering rig. And I think he made some tweaks, but that's what mastering the record was. It was me walking across the hall to where Chris was working on the record. And
Lorien Drive. That was another one.
yeah, I
Way
mastered
back
an
in
EP
the-
for them. Way back. I did that at Chris.
You gotta update this too, man.
Well, these are old. I mean, I know I need to
Done a
update.
lot of shit.
The
since
Gentry,
then.
6 by the unit. That's a winner. Andrew
So
would know.
obviously you're a rock guy, obviously.
Yeah,
Is there, like, do you want to do other genres?
I do other genres.
Yeah.
Dance,
Yeah.
pop, folk. When it comes to mastering, I do just literally everything. And mastering is like, I'll do crazy polka music from Russia. I mean, files get sent over the internet from somewhere.
Right.
These could be coming from the dark web. I don't know where they come from. Yeah, I mean, I need to update. I need to update that. There I am.
There you are. That's your picture.
Same room,
Same room.
different gear.
A little
That's
thinner,
cool, man.
little thinner than I am now. Exact same outfit. Because this is the only outfit I wear.
Explain to the audience.
I
what you're
remember
wearing.
the first time I came into the house and you were showing me around. There was that T-shirt like 10 times in the closet. I think.
Stephan, how many pairs of shoes do you have of the same kind?
I don't know how many I have left. I had one and I bought 4 backups.
4 backups.
4 backups.
Who buys backup shoes?
Well, these ones because they fit me
Because he
perfect.
decided they worked.
And I got
Yeah,
difficult
they worked.
feet.
Why
So I
You
got
have
them.
trouble finding shoes that fit?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're
Well, then
just
that makes sense.
wonderfully
Someone
comfortable. This pair is only a week or 2 old.
Explain to the
I
audience
just
what
went
you're
for a new
wearing.
pair. What?
Explain to the audience what you're wearing. Actually, Neil, you explain to the audience what you're wearing.
What he's wearing?
I wear the same thing every day.
They're black Nikes.
No,
Yeah,
the
I wear
whole outfit.
I
wanna
wear
hear
the same thing
whole
every day.
outfit.
I wear a
Okay.
black polo shirt, which is I guess actually it's a golf shirt. I did not know that when I got it. I got it at Nordstrom, not
Is it
in
like
the golf section.
dry fitty kind of?
A little bit,
Because it's not just like cotton.
but it's not shiny.
Okay,
But
so
no,
not
it's
shiny.
definitely not cotton.
Yeah, it's a little more athletic-y.
Yeah,
Okay.
It just happens to fit me very well. I found it at Nordstrom,
Are those jeans?
and these
Those
are
slacks.
Levi's 511 jeans,
Black.
black,
That's important.
and black socks,
I have seen you wear
And black
color
shoes.
though.
And black Nikes.
I used to wear colors.
Used to.
Used to.
I just wear this every day now if I can help it. Every once in a while I'll wear a band t-shirt.
You know who you dress like? Judd Apatow.
Does he do that?
This is what
I mean, no, yeah,
Right? Am
Yeah,
I
you're
wrong?
right. You're right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
up a picture of Judd.
I mean, this is
Apatow,
just,
Andrew.
I don't want to
This
think,
is
and I've heard
Almost
there's like
identical.
some
He might have some colors. For
I've
all I
heard
know,
there's some
but
subsects of people. This is a thing. I'm not doing
It's a
it.
thing.
I'm not doing it to be a thing.
I know.
But I will tell you right now.
You're a practicality
I do
man.
not want to pick out clothing. I do not want to be like, oh, this fits well, and then today's outfit doesn't fit well, and yesterday's did, and these
Wear the same
pants. And
shit.
if you buy a bunch of the same thing and it all fits well and it all looks the same, you look fine. You look the same every
Type
day.
Judd Apatow polo shirt.
Yeah, he strikes me as a kind of dickhead.
He was
that
on
would-
the Fighter and the Kid podcast, and he talked
Yeah.
about how he wears the same brand of polo shirt every day for like the last 10 years. There it is.
Yeah.
That's Stephan.
Yep. Because I don't want to pick.
Picture of Stephan
I
and
look
his children.
as good as I'm ever going to look in it, and I'll wear it for the rest of the time. And
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit
Good to
worried
go.
because I'm already thinking ahead to where like the shirts, some of them are more faded than others, and so like
That's variety.
I'm going to have to decide at what point they're all too faded to wear, and then I'm going to have to find another like shirt. In fact, now that we're having this conversation, I'm going to go online and see if I can find like 10 more shirts for the future.
See, I'm
should.
really picky with pants. I only buy 1 or 2 pairs of pants and I just wear them constantly.
Yeah, I've got a
have
bunch of these.
Little ass leprechaun legs.
I've got a bunch of
Yeah,
these.
everything tailored.
I got a bunch of these.
I usually
pants.
almost always wear black shirts or white shirts.
Yeah. Same shoes. I don't ever want a new shoe. Apparently, I've been told that Nike is going to, when I do have to make a new shoe, when I have to get a new shoe, that they'll have one for me that I'll like.
Andrew says in
When the
back
Lunar
there.
Glide 6s came out, they had a bunch of green in them, and you couldn't just get
The
black.
Lunar Glide 6s.
Did you get them custom made? Is that
And so what I did was I went and found a bunch of the 5s that I had at the outlet store and bought a bunch of them for cheap.
Oh,
Because they were selling them. I hear they're going to make shoes that don't just have crazy, wacky colors in them and stuff. In
Probably
the future.
because they heard you were in town. And they were like,
Yeah, but yeah, I don't like thinking about that. It's not that I don't. I understand fashion. I get it.
But you're married to someone that's
I'm married to a
very
woman
into
who's
fashion.
very into fashion. I go
Like,
to all the
really
places.
into fashion.
When I go to New York, my itinerary is that of a fashionista. I go to these places, these art exhibits, and these places. I go and I enjoy myself. I understand it all pretty well. I know when something looks good. I know what's going on. That's just not what my life is about. I don't want to have to make those decisions. I just get up, you put on the clothes,
I love it so much.
and then you go to the studio and you
Does-
sit in the chair.
Does
Live
Brittany
in the
ever talk
studio.
about that with you? Like, is she
she
does
gets
she
it.
wish you were more fashionable?
I think
Or-
she's just happy that I found a decent looking outfit. And I
Right,
wear it all the time.
right.
Because I used to dress like a
stick to it,
buffoon,
idiot. Right,
Because I
right.
didn't care, and this is a better
'cause you
way of
look good
not
now. You
caring.
look fine.
Yeah.
Didn't
Right.
you have a flannel that you wore
Notice
for
that-
like 5
are you
years?
guys-
Oh yeah, yeah,
seeing-
yeah. Well, no, hold on. Andrew
Just
just.
scroll through the pictures from the last. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's the same.
oh, it's the same outfit.
that's a year. That's over a year
Fuck's
old.
sake. Is this Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Oh my god, it's all the same.
Oh
picture.
my god.
That picture of you in your. God, that is terrifying.
Should
For
do
the
that
audience,
with Anthony
we're looking at a
Weiner's
picture
body.
of Stephan and his
and my-
face superimposed
Me and
over
my
his
wife,
wife's
yeah.
head.
She hates face swaps.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially that one.
Yeah, she really does.
It's a nightmare. Andrew was about to bring up a good point. Neil, I don't know if you know the story, but was it 7th grade? 8th grade?
Oh no, it was like 5th grade, man.
Stephan
that
wore the
flannel.
same flannel shirt
Yep.
for how long?
Forever, for years. I had a flannel.
No. Yeah, I know.
Well, it wasn't a
shaking
shirt.
your head like, oh, that's cool.
It
No,
was
I
like
mean,
a flannel.
No, they have the
Over
same
kinda
thing every day.
overcoat
Literally.
kind of thing.
Well, I didn't wear the same thing every day. I wore the same like
It's not,
flannel.
it's not
over
shocking
the-
to me because I do the same thing.
Well, he had a.
And
so
it
he had
started,
a
like,
rip in
to
the
break
There was
flannel.
a
down.
rip, and I used it like a pocket.
Yeah, I used to go put my trash in it. And,
Yeah.
like I'd have a Snickers and I'd shove trash in Stephan's flannel. He also wore the same
I mean, did
pair
you shower every day or? Was
Stephan also
it's
wore the
one
same pair of mismatched ankle socks
Yeah.
for like 13 days straight.
Yeah.
Gross little
And you
boy.
see in a lot of these pictures, I'm wearing a black shirt, but it's like a t-shirt. I tried doing this with Calvin Klein black
Oh.
t-shirts, but they ended up being really irregular, and some of them would fit well, and some of them would not fit well, and they would get wimpy, and I
Yeah.
needed like a different fabric. So this is me trying to figure
Well, that's
it
why
out.
the golf shirt works for you. 'Cause
But
they're
this
more
shirt
durable.
works out great. I'm gonna go buy like 10 more of these now that we had this conversation because I'm scared of my life after it.
Maybe try a different color.
No,
Or do you just?
I have 2 gray ones,
Oh, gray. Okay.
light gray, but I don't wear them ever now. I used to wear them.
So it's black or nothing.
This is just what I wear, and my dog's black.
I mean, black fades to gray.
Black polo shirts matter, man.
All of them.
Sorry.
All black polo shirts
just got
matter.
it.
Tasteless, stupid joke.
Oh,
like
no,
it.
it's not quite the flannel.
That's not the flannel, no.
It's
but
not.
that's,
It's close
post.
enough.
That's
It's
like
pretty
a year
close.
after
Pretty
the
close,
flannel
too.
bit the dust.
Look at that kid. Would you trust him or look at him? Look at that. Foo Fighters T-shirt, red,
That's from the show.
orangish, reddish polo shirt. What's that?
That's from the show we saw.
The T-shirt?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I remember it.
Fucking
And
boy.
orange hair. You look like a turnip.
Yep.
I don't know what that head is.
Why did you dye your hair orange?
Because he was an
We did
awesome
all sorts
kid.
of shit. We dyed our hair all sorts of colors and did all
what you
sorts
did.
of
No,
things.
it was the 90s.
It's the 90s, man. You go get some Manic Panic
Yeah, man.
at the
Kurt
local
did it.
record store.
did it.
It smelled like patchouli, and you put color in your hair because some girl wants to.
It was the
You want to see her
1990s.
boobies.
Do you ever think of it that way? The
1990s? Yeah, I do.
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered what
That's
it
the
is.
greatest. Me and Chris.
Oh my god.
Nothing beats a me and Chris face swap. I mean, that's actually like.
Oh, I wish people could see what
So that one's good. There's one of us at church in the photo booth that is arguably better because I'm making like a jack off hand, but it's my face on his body. It's very confusing.
Stefan's face on Chris's body and Chris's face on Stefan's body.
Neither of those guys would be successful.
But it's a nightmare.
I don't even think they'd hang out. That guy looks so sad. He looks like Shark Boy.
I know.
And then the other guy's like that shit house car salesman you don't want to meet.
Fuck my life. God, you got some funny pictures, man.
Shelter Red Band photo. At your wedding.
At my wedding.
Every time me and Austin take a picture together, we go, Shelter Red Band photo. it's just 2 of us. Here's me and
assholes.
Tom. Me as Tom's Korean girlfriend.
Dude, take the picture where we impose Stefan's face.
Yeah, the
Oh
next
god damn it. No, that one's good too.
You guys got to get Tom Moore on the podcast.
Oh no, we don't. What would happen? What does it even mean?
I want the world to end just as much.
Oh,
Some men just want to watch it all burn down, Mr. Wayne. I think that's what he was talking about, is getting Tom Moore on the podcast. I wasn't there. Whose face got replaced?
It was
Kellen's?
Casey Jones.
Oh, Casey Jones' face.
Fucking.
I like that the head's just too big. Because you could have done a better
Nightmare.
job, but it's
I know.
funnier having it be too big.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's over 4 years ago. Can you believe that? Actually, that seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it is a lifetime ago.
Almost anything that
So
happened,
weird.
like, yeah, and all that stuff, people go, oh, can you believe? I go, yeah, it seems like more than 3 years ago.
Stephan-
Seems like 100.
Look at that Tabana picture.
Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
There
This
I
was
am.
our band, Neil. When we were 17, 16.
That's the
17.
band that went on tour.
I'm the one taking a shit or whatever the fuck I'm doing on the
And
ground.
I'm wearing a
hands blocking
filter
your shit.
shirt.
Walking
Oh.
like an ape.
Yep, walking like an ape, wearing a watch still.
What was I doing? What am I doing
You're
down
being deep, dude. You're just digging at the weeds.
there? It was so baggy. Everything was so baggy.
We actually look pretty good there, though.
I was trying to look like I was in Deftones.
I got thin on that tour from just eating Taco Bell every day and not
Yeah.
having any, and sleeping a lot.
Getting thin from eating taco.
Well, because we didn't eat
Well,
a lot.
no, I mean, it was
Oh.
like all wheat. Just one meal a day.
Well,
One
twice,
burrito
sometimes
a day,
twice a day.
whatever
You'd get
the
it
fuck it
at
was,
noon. You'd get a burrito and a taco,
like $1 burrito.
and then at
or
midnight you'd get like a burrito and a taco, and then sometimes you'd get whatever the club gave you. But we were on like a strict like $4 a day. Like the singer had all the money in a
he
collective
kept all
account,
of our money.
so we
It was
didn't
a
even really have
nightmare.
money to go like spend much. James had a little. I had none.
I only had a little because my
You weren't
parents-
making
Yeah,
per diems?
Well, that was our per diem. That's what I'm saying. We didn't get any.
Oh.
I mean, it was like we were living real tight. I lost
Go-
25
Andrew, go back
pounds
up
in
to
7 weeks on that
Yes,
tour.
that one.
Damn.
See?
What the hell?
To the audience at home, Stephan is uncanny at times to Dan Aykroyd, especially in Ghostbusters era. Dan Aykroyd, And here's a picture of Stephan next to Dan Aykroyd. Weren't you
Fantastic.
him for Halloween? one
I
year?
was a Ghostbuster.
You were a Ghostbuster.
yeah,
in general.
you could make the leap.
Yeah, it's not too far of a leap, I guess.
I love how fat I am in some of these.
I know, dude. It's a disaster. I gotta lose some lbs myself.
No, I mean I was fatter then.
Right.
Yeah, see, I did it the other way around. I wasn't some rail skinned kid running all around looking all good when I was young. You guys
Right.
are idiots.
You know,
Both of you.
we were a little.
You guys are idiots. You guys look like rails, and you're never going to look that good when you got older. What were you
God,
thinking? What you
I
got to
know.
do is be bloated.
Yeah, you're right. Because now it's all uphill.
You just
for
got to
you.
be bloated and
Just
eat like you're on
downhill
a
for
dare, and then you can get it into sort of shape when you're older, and it's like an accomplishment. Because I'm still in way worse shape than either of you.
Yeah.
But someone would be like, that Stefan's really maintained.
Right.
He's looking even better than he used to. It's all
Yeah.
about comparison.
But to be fair, that wasn't a strategy. That's just what happened for you.
Was it?
Dun, dun, dun.
You'll never know.
Have
Am
you
I
seen
just that
any-
diabolical?
Have you
Oh,
seen any
God,
movies
that
lately?
face.
Stuff? Any good movies?
Movies that were good?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw It.
What'd you think?
It was good,
I liked
entertaining, lots of problems that were very unnecessary, lots of sloppy filmmaking.
I
Thoroughly enjoyed myself.
I love it, but I love it not for. I don't think it's scary. It's not that scary.
Well, no,
I
it
think-
was definitely
no, it's definitely scary. It's like Stand by Me, fucking
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
But some of that could have been better
loved
done.
it.
There was lots of missed opportunities. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, but they did a shitty job with lots of aspects of it. But I enjoyed it. I
enough.
walked out of the theater happy I'd gone.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw Mother. It was terrible.
Have not seen it.
Do
That
not
sucks.
go.
Really,
I mean, listen,
I'm a huge fan of Darren Aronofsky.
I love Black
and you
Swan.
disagree often
I
on
like
movies.
Requiem for a Dream.
One of your favorite movies is Battleship.
It's not one of my favorite movies. It's a movie I saw 3 times in a theater, mostly for ironic reasons, but I did love it.
Yeah, me and you don't always see eye to eye. Movies there.
I like Requiem for a Dream. I like Black Swan.
Yeah, of course. Did you like The Wrestler? That the Days and
Loved
Nights
The Wrestler.
had a song.
Loved The
Go
Wrestler.
ahead and look it up. The Days and Nights. And The
Yeah, I
Wrestler
had a song
soundtrack.
I produced that was in the movie The Wrestler, but I liked it even before then. The point is this.
Oh, nice drop. I like that.
The point is, you like that? The point is that I saw Mother, and it's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, you said something about how the trailer was just
well, it's just extremely
awesome.
misleading.
Really.
Well, the trailer's misleading.
It's
not,
nothing like the trailer. Oh, because I saw the trailer. I was like, "This is fucking awesome."
Why do you
I can't
think?
wait to
Why
see
do you
it.
think I went opening night?
God damn it!
Does a guy go to a movie opening night because he thinks it's going to be something
it.
he's not going to like? That's a question I got. And I didn't go into it with the highest of hopes. I just went into it and I just sat there and I was like, I'm going to let this movie happen to me.
Oh, I got a movie for it.
And
did you
wasn't
see
good.
The Kingsman,
No.
the original one?
No, I've heard.
Curious
I'm
what you
supposed
think
to.
about it.
I probably wouldn't like it, even
It's,
though I hear
um,
it's great.
It is great. I
I
love
just
it.
have a feeling it's not going to be my
I
jam.
could see why a lot of people wouldn't like it. Like, it's really campy and just kind of over the top. It's a ridiculous movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
They're
it's
shooting things out of
yeah,
things.
it's just
and
cra-
cars
it's
flying
crazy.
off
It's
of
a crazy
stuff.
movie, but it's really funny. And anyway, the second one just came out and I loved it.
Yeah, the thing with Mother for me is that like I can understand why you would want to say that it was good, but as a person who saw a bunch of trailers for it,
Yeah.
loves other Darren Aronofsky movies,
Yeah, and that's like your wheelhouse. To be fair, I mean that's your kind of movie. Like you
I like
intense,
dark.
fucking.
There Will Be Blood. It's my favorite movie. I think. Well, it's not even that's my
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
necessarily. I think it's the best movie ever made.
Magnolia.
Magnolia.
There Will Be Blood.
I love.
Fucking. What's the other Tom Cruise?
Black Swan. I love.
No, the one from back in the day. Dun dun dun. The fucking. They're like they go to sex parties, wear masks.
Oh yeah,
Nicole
yeah,
Kidman.
yeah. Kubrick.
Kubrick.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
I
shit like that. That's your thing.
am way down with it. I thought Black Swan is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I love the movie Black Swan. Love it.
Love it.
Didn't expect to. And I go into all the movies thinking like I'm going to sit here and I'm going to let this thing happen to me and whatever happens will happen.
Yeah.
And Mother did not happen.
Did you? What about Dunkirk?
Didn't see it.
Dunkirk. Loved it.
That's probably good.
Loved it.
I'll catch it sometime.
You like Nolan movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mother was just it just wasn't the movie that was advertised, but even then I was still willing for it to be whatever it was going to be.
It's a bummer.
And I just don't think I don't think the movie holds up.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I just don't think it's very good on its own. You can make excuses for it to try and say why you think it's good, but if you just sit there and watch it, it sure don't feel like it's a very good movie.
Yeah.
So there's that.
What about Wind River? Have you heard of that stuff?
I have not.
You might like that. That was a good one. What were like some of the big ones that came out recently?
I don't know. I haven't been to a
guess
movie in a
It.
long time since It and Mother.
Yeah, and Dunkirk. I mean, me and Ashley, my wife, we see every goddamn movie that comes out for the most part.
That looks like something.
It's
Oh,
good. No, I
Elizabeth
really
Olsen,
liked it.
yeah,
It was really good. Yeah. Dark.
You been listening to any albums, James? I know I have.
What's the new
Royal Blood?
Something big. Yeah.
You got to be done with that already.
What's that?
New Royal Blood. You wore it
Done?
out already?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not like. The thing is, like, it's never gonna be like it was in the old days. I don't ever just like.
It can be.
It can be. I don't know. I'm just
That
old.
album definitely isn't one of those.
No, it's not.
No. I mean,
not.
so I was saying it's like by now
Fell a
you
little
got to be done with it.
Yeah.
It's good, but
good.
it's
Good.
in the same way that McDonald's is good.
That band is weird. I mean, it's like, what is this, Andrew? Oh, okay. Well, so you hate the new Queens.
This could be another like 45 minutes right here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, New Queens is hot garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I
But do you
appreciate
really?
the art. I do. I really do. I really do.
Really though?
Yeah, I really do. Me and you just don't see.
Xana Do's and Xana Don'ts. Is that where you knew it was good?
We just don't see music. the same
Here's
way
my thing.
sometimes.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
I
Here's
don't
what I'm gonna
I don't
say.
expect bands to be who they once were. We're just.
Here's the thing, though.
We'll never.
Here's the
doesn't matter.
thing.
We'll never even come close.
I would.
We're a million miles
no,
away.
we're not though. Here's what I will say that I think we have common ground on.
Sooner dance.
Queens of Stone Age is a band we both love to death. Love,
Yeah, no.
couldn't live without.
Me?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, it's
I
arguably one of
know,
the most
and me
influential
too.
bands for me ever,
Some of the
yeah.
most important things. One of the best shows I ever
Yeah.
saw. One of the coolest fucking bands that ever existed. Objectively, I feel like, but that's a.
Let me interrupt you real quick though. To be fair, I almost never listen to it.
The new album.
Yeah.
I bet not. So that tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, but it also tells you where I'm coming from. I have a different barometer for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
But my thing is this: there's a couple reasons where the album for me is a fail, and I feel like even if you like it,
Yeah,
I feel like I'm on pretty solid footing here. So just because you'll listen to it, or you're okay with it, doesn't mean we disagree.
But see, again, we have to define what a fail means.
I will,
Okay.
and I will, and I think you'll agree. The energy and placement of the instruments is not even remotely accurate to what the band really is. When you hear
or was.
is. Like if you go see
Yeah.
them on this tour that they're on.
Have you seen any interviews with him lately? Like his outlook on the album and stuff?
I don't.
His point?
I don't know if I need to do that, but
Well, yeah, but that tells me that you're not hearing what the vision was. Because you're taking it in. You see what I'm saying?
I'm taking in context of what a band is. Like I'm not taking in context of what he thinks they are. Like
No,
when they go out and play a show, there's a sound that comes out at the show.
But a band is an ever living, evolving.
Sure,
thing.
and I get
Yeah.
I get all that, but I'm saying that like one of my problems with Queens of the Stone Age, as much as I love them, is that I feel like very few of their records have actually done a good job of capturing what they really are. I've had this problem with them for years.
Right. Yeah, you have talked about
There
that.
has not been a Queens of the Stone Age album that sounds like Queens of the Stone Age that you go and see at a show.
It's fair.
That has never existed.
It's fair. Could
And
be
the-
intentional.
And I get that. And I'm okay with it when it's done in a way that is cool.
Right.
Rated R and Era Vulgaris are my two favorite Queens of the Stone Age albums.
Say it again.
Rated R and Era Vulgaris.
Not Songs from the Deaf?
No.
But that's a close third.
I don't listen to Songs of the Deaf all the way through.
Really?
No. So what I'm saying is you're looking at a guy whose two favorite albums are the weirdest one and the worst sounding one.
Era
Vulgaris is the worst sounding Queens of the Stone Age record.
It's also pretty weird.
It's very quirky. So I like the quirky records.
I love it.
I don't need the rock. I'm not. So
You
that's
know
the
where I
thing.
agree with you on Queens? Is Lullabies.
It's not good.
Not
Took you a long time to admit it. It's not for me.
Not for me.
I tried every 6 months for years, and I couldn't.
But see, okay,
And they don't like it either.
But
James.
this is a whole
The
debate.
band doesn't like it anyway.
Right, but this is the eternal Stephan James debate.
Yeah,
Lullabies to Paralyze, that's the name,
Yeah.
right? Lullabies to Paralyze. It's just not my cup of tea, and that's all I say.
See, I don't
move on.
But that's
I don't,
the thing.
I don't go and say it's a fair. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But no, but what I'm
it's
saying
fair,
is that
it's fair. I'm just saying.
the band themselves have
Yeah.
since stated that they feel like they failed.
Yeah, they have.
So that's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is I knew it when I heard it.
I think he said like, what's the one of the hit
Little Sister.
not Little Sister, In My Head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Josh Homme talk about that video and the single, like how he's just like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
So what I'm saying is that like
It happens.
we were talking about it, yeah, and I get that,
Yeah.
and I forgive.
Right.
That's the thing is I'm not going to hold it against you forever.
How
but I'm
do
not
you-
going to give you a pass either. So as
Fair.
a guy who knew the day he heard Lullabies to Paralyze for the first time, I knew
Yeah.
it was not. It didn't cut it.
I see. The funny thing about that record is I actually liked it.
I know you
It
did.
was very big for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like me and Nate were crazy.
I know you guys were, and I was
Yeah.
just the
Burn
whole
the
time I
Witch,
was like,
like-
I'm already.
But to be very clear, it's still better than a lot of shit out there.
that's never going to be a good enough thing. That I don't judge albums by that.
Yeah. It's fair.
That's the
Fair.
thing is I just don't. Sure,
But see, like I still love Burn the Witch. I still like Little Sister.
those songs are good live.
Yeah, I think they're good songs.
They are good songs.
Yeah.
But they're not good songs the way they're represented on that album.
I see what you're saying.
And that's where the failure of the objectives comes in for me. If I go see a song live and it's good, as Burn the Witch is crazy good live.
Right.
Dude, you remember that at McDonald Theater?
Dude.
You remember?
Oh, okay. So was that Joey Castillo?
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, not to go on a
Yeah.
different tangent, but what do you think about him now? Now that he's playing, Andrew, didn't you bring this up?
Oh yeah.
Now he's just like killing
And
it.
Zach Sabbath, he's a fucking
Playing-
beast.
Have you seen some of the stuff?
Well, he's the best in that band.
so.
He wasn't like that in Queens, but yeah.
No, he
not-
wasn't like that in Queens.
When I saw him open up for Soundgarden at
Oh no,
McDonald Theater.
no one's. He was a monster in Queens. We're not saying
You're
that.
saying
but
he's
this
more
is a
technically
different,
good? Oh.
Nope.
different-
Not this video.
Yeah, that's probably the worst possible thing in a rim shot. But he's just losing his mind, Stephan. Like,
I like that.
stuff that you
Yeah,
dream about.
I would love to see it.
just fucking lose
Yeah,
his
yeah.
mind and,
I'm all about it.
Ripped. Just,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But like, and so anyway, like when he played with Queens, he was great. He was a monster, but he always played way too fast. We all know that.
Not always.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun, 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 dun.
It wasn't
Like,
always
Jesus.
that bad. I varied from show to show.
Yeah.
Anyway, to me, if a song is good live,
God damn, he's good.
if a song is good live and it's less good on a record by a significant margin, then you failed. That's what I consider.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, that's one of the reasons that I will actually
Okay.
judge a record that I think you can objectively say they missed the mark, because what was I saying earlier about the
enough.
point of the record is to amplify the song
Yep.
in the way that makes it the most appealing or to get the most out of it. I guarantee you I can go see Queens on this tour, which I'm not going to do, but I can guarantee you that I could. And when they played The Way You Used to Do, it's going to be a considerably better song than what's on that record.
I see what you're saying.
And if you really want to get detailed about it, structurally, the production fails the song, actually. Like
Right.
it's backwards.
So there's a potential that exists in these songs
Oh, the
that
song-
was just not even
and
close to
I don't
factory.
love all of the songs.
Gotcha.
But if they had any chance at being good, we will not know.
Now, is there anything that has come out that you're digging? Because I can't think of a whole lot of stuff right now.
Not for me.
Anyone else? Andrew, Neil, anyone? Anything that's blowing you away?
There's a new Foo Fighters, but I haven't listened to it.
Oh, I'm actually liking it.
I like the first single.
I haven't given a lot of time.
It's
maybe
not great, but I
4
liked it.
songs into it, but I was really surprised. It was
Really?
like,
I've heard a little bit. It
Kinda
seems like
cool.
there's some cool stuff on
Yeah,
there. It's
okay.
not gonna hold up either, though.
it's never gonna. They're never going back to Color and Shape. It's
No,
never
but I mean,
gonna-
just like,
yeah.
I'm sure it's got some good stuff in it.
Well, honestly, I think it's better than some of the other stuff, and I think
Yeah.
you particularly.
I'm sure it's better than plenty of their other recent albums.
I like the single. What's the song
Run?
called? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. I'm
Kicks
digging it.
ass.
Kicks ass. It's fucking fun. I mean, it's Foo Fighters. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't. There haven't been a
Jesus,
lot.
Look at him go. God, he's a good drummer.
There haven't been a lot of. There just haven't been a lot of. I haven't had the best luck with newer albums that have come out that have been blowing my
Especially
mind.
like the bands we grew up with.
Yeah,
What's going on with Failure?
I don't know.
Isn't there new?
Hopefully
They
new
just
record.
released like a new live Fantastic Planet live. Fantastic Planet
They're
live.
not doing an album though. Or anything?
They're probably going to. I'd be very interested to hear it. Because a lot of that stuff was holdover from old songs, and they're going to have a hard time writing another album. I feel like, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I will be there if they do.
What else? Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, New Quicksand sounds pretty awesome.
New Quicksand. Yeah.
Hopefully, New Quicksand's good.
Yeah, I liked it live.
I saw a few of those songs at the show, and pretty good. I did like it better live than on record, though. So far, from what I heard, I like that song way better, and the record had kind of a similar problem to me as the Queen's record, where it just lacked the energy or excitement of the thing.
What's one of the cooler shows you've seen lately? Of like the bigger bands.
Well, Quicksand was
Quicksand
great.
would be, definitely. We talked about Royal Blood, but that was a while ago
That was a
already.
few years ago now. I haven't been to many shows as of late, I don't think.
I was just thinking about something I forgot. Oh, I saw Eagles of Death Metal at the Wonder. That was fun as fuck.
Yeah.
It was exactly what it's supposed to be. It was so much fun. Like people
I heard
are
it was.
literally like
I heard it was
doo-wopping and
good.
shaking their
Yeah,
ass and
I don't think I could have done
so
whatever
much
that
fun.
is.
loved
I'm
it.
not. I have no tolerance for rambling down the road rock, as I like to call it.
Please explain.
Dude, I'm a huge fan of them.
But like,
Love them.
they say this now, as a white guy who plays rock music, who likes rock music.
Play that video, Andrew. Yeah. Is that with
That's got to be
Yeah,
James.
corpse right there.
Oh, that's
Chester? What the fuck's going on?
oh.
he was playing with them.
I don't know what
Weird.
this is.
Anyway, as a white guy who plays rock music, there are certain things, musical tendencies that white guys have that I think are embarrassing. And I classify most of that under rambling down the road rock. So like, if you're playing a chord and you're like, dun, 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 and then you go, no, 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 like
when white guys are trying to act not white.
no, when white guys are being too white. Like, when white guys are doing stuff that comes really natural.
That's a good video, Andrew. There you go. Fuck's sake, he's good. I wish we could hear this.
Oh, I mean,
God, he's
got
such
an
a
idea.
fucking ripper.
yeah.
Is that what white guys are supposed to do?
Definitely, that's one of the things we're supposed to do.
Yeah, just kick ass.
But there's like a thing, and I have it very clearly in my head. I know it when I hear it.
Right.
Certain progressions, certain melodies, certain attitudes that, like, it's like blues.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't, it's done. We don't need any more of it. And it's 2017. I don't want it anymore. And rambling down the road rock, that's what that is to me. And I know it when I hear it. It's
I
stuff.
love it. I
It's
think
stuff that
I
it's
think
easy
it's
to do
great.
as a white guy. You pick up a guitar and you just go down, 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 down. It's like, yeah, we get it. It feels good. But like, unless you can come up with some new spin on it, I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. Because like, it's embarrassing. I just get literal goosebumps of embarrassment when I hear it. It is a physical. I physically feel it.
Yeah.
Like when I was listening to that song off the Queen's record, it was like, "Rosanna-do." This isn't fucking Elvis, man. Like, I'm not a Queens of the Stone Age
You fucking
fan
cracked me up, man.
because I like Elvis Presley. That's fucking generations now.
Right.
That's
I got you.
over.
All right.
I don't
fair enough.
need greaser hats and leather jackets and flipped out hair and this and that and the other. Like, I don't.
Fucking
We get
rockabilly.
it. That felt good in the 50s. It was rebellious. And then maybe you revived it with like the Ramones or something. But at some point, it's just not valid for me anymore. It's not I'm not impressed that you
Might be valid for some people.
heard your hook shaking
Valid for me.
legally low. Like, it's
you
not
can't talk to this. It doesn't work with Stephan. It is or it isn't.
rambling down the road rock.
That's,
Yeah. Some people
Honestly,
might
fifth
actually
grade.
find it.
I'm a white guy, and I
very
know
much
those
so.
chord shapes. And when I play them,
Doesn't matter.
Other
it
people
doesn't-
don't know the chord shape.
when I play them, I go, God, you know, it's
love
what I
you, Stephan.
did.
Oh, you're the best.
But other people haven't done it yet.
It's what I did.
There
but
are
that doesn't
some
make
people
it
who weren't
good.
alive during Elvis right now.
That's right.
They don't know. Some
I can
people
tell
may
you the
not
Wonder
even know
Ball was
Elvis
full of
existed.
1,000 people, whatever the fuck that capacity
Yeah.
is.
That's a
Just
bummer.
I loved it.
I would have walked out.
I know you would have.
I just get goose. Like,
Oh,
dude,
they
you
were so
literally like
good.
my skin crawls with embarrassment when I hear it or see it.
Are you a
Physically.
Are you a Bronx fan? The Bronx?
I'm not familiar with the Bronx.
I'm not sure if you'd like them very much. Some of their stuff I think you'd like a lot.
I've heard enough to know that they're wicked.
Early Bronx you'd love.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It was a big The Days and Nights influence for sure. But anyway, I think they have a new thing they're doing. Well, anyway, man, this has been like over 3 hours now.
The longest
3.5.
podcast of all time.
So let's wrap this
Not
shit
quite.
up.
Suck it, Rogan.
Not-
We did it. We did it.
He does like 3 every time, 3.5. They didn't seem like that long though.
No.
It's so easy to do.
I've never been less
Right?
impressed with Joe Rogan in my life. Not just that I love you on Fear Factor News Radio and I watch
And
UFC
the UFC,
religiously. So,
yeah.
basically,
But fuck you
you're the best, but go fuck yourself.
And James and
Yeah,
Andrew
the
watch
Podfather.
podcasts a lot, but anyway.
Yeah, he's the best, but he
Well,
can
let's
suck it.
do some plugs. What are you doing these days? Is Icarus the Owl the
We've been
last
over that.
thing?
Well, no, like I said, Marionette gets here in a couple days. I'm mixing a single of theirs tomorrow,
Andrew, can you pull up his Instagram and stuff?
and they're doing drums for their full length on Thursday, which sounds confusing. Why would I be mixing a single tomorrow when drums start Thursday?
Gotcha. But
That's what's happening.
Is that your accurate social media plug, Stephan? It's at what?
At Stephan Hawks?
At 7Hawks for everything?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm really creative.
Yeah, you're
My
terrible.
Clothing and my
You're awful
handles.
at this.
Your
Can you
creativity,
correct him, Andrew? Is that
creativity
correct?
goes elsewhere.
So I got that going
You
on.
are
and
at Stephan Hawks. That is right.
finishing up a bunch of albums. Lightning Rules EP that I'm working on is going to
Sweet.
be done. I mean,
I'm a fan.
it's going to be done, and I played drums on that and help with production and formatting and stuff, and that's
Cool.
closest to that's definitely like a Days the Nights-esque ass-kicking rock party fun.
yeah.
Me getting to make mid-tempo white guy rock music that won't make your skin crawl.
Andrew, are you doing anything fun? Are you playing some shows?
I have a show the October 21st at the No,
Hardest working
He's
man
in
in rock
two
and
bands
roll.
now.
and it'll be with Vibrisse. That's a VIBRISSAE. It's a really weird name.
Real easy word to say.
Yeah, I don't like it,
Vibrisse.
but
That's like
yeah, some shoegaze stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
awesome. Fuck yeah. Anything with Sleepy Fuck? That's
Oh
Andrew's solo.
no! I have a
You said you're sending that song, Master Dog.
Yeah,
What happened?
I have a new single coming out pretty soon. It's coming up. I'll get that shit mastered.
Sleepy Fuck is SLPYF.
Yeah, it's abbreviated.
Yeah.
No vowels.
No vowels, Sleepy Fuck.
My vowels.
Too sleepy for the vowels, I bet.
Neil, what's your Instagram? Neilio Engle?
At Neilio. Yeah.
Why is the IO? What is that?
It's a long story. But
Okay.
basically it's
Very
a
confusing.
nickname. Long story short, nickname that stuck with me in high school with some of my best friends, Neilio.
Like Roofy.
Neilio.
Oh,
So
it's,
Neil
it's
E.
Neil,
Oh.
Neil IO Engle?
yeah, NEILIOENGLE.
Okay. And I'm at Stateside MGMT for everything. Thanks, Stephan.
Black witch, soft white wings. I'm begging you, I'm tired.